Chapter 1608. Be careful. The referee's voice has already ended. Yu Ruiying's two swords have already arrived at Li Fan's back. The next second, they will pierce into his body. However, these two swords only pierced through the air and did not hit the target as expected. What? Yu Ruiying felt a sense of threat and subconsciously turned her head. Li Fan, on the other hand, was already standing by her side. He kicked her in the head from the bottom up. Bam! Yu Ruiying's body was kicked high up, and her head almost separated from her neck. If not for Li Fan's mercy, Yu Ruiying's head would have been separated from her body. But even so, her body directly smashed into the wall next to her, and her whole body was embedded in it. With this kind of temperament, you don't deserve to be a martial artist. Looking at Yu Ruiying, who was smashed into the wall, Li Fan coldly said, "You violated the sanctity of martial arts duel. I am the leader of a Mei faction. I can't be defeated." Yu Ruiying said and wanted to fight again, but her body was sore, and several bones in her body were broken. She simply did not have the ability to fight again. With your temperament, I'm afraid your future achievement will not be as good as your disciple Wang Yue. Li Fan ridiculed Yu Ruiying. Guard your guru for the rest of your life. Anyway, you don't have long to live, right? Yu Ruiying's face slowly became frightened as she looked at Li Fan. How do you even know this? For you, I have said, I am just an ordinary martial artist. Li Fan was too lazy to talk to this Yu Ruiying anymore. He was also tired today, and it just so happened that all the martial arts duels have ended. It's time to go back and rest. Congratulations on becoming one of the top 32 contestants. After Li Fan came out, a staff of the venue immediately greeted him. You have your own private lounge, you can live there. Really? This is not bad. Li Fan's spirit was lifted. Great, I finally have a place to live alone. In this way, I can cultivate properly. The staff led Li Fan to a higher lounge on the 4th floor. In this lounge, Li Fan could see the huge outdoor martial arts arena from the window. Although he had seen it during the day, Li Fan had to praise it. The arena was indeed well built and very majestic. This was also a facility that could only be built in a centralized country. Few Western countries could build such a magnificent arena. As one of the top 32 contestants, Li Fan's lounge was also a good one. It was a standard one-person apartment. There was a bed, a desk, and a separate bathroom with shower facilities. It could be considered a 3-star room. I wonder how Wu Huang and the others are. I look forward to it. Tomorrow, the top 4 contestants will be Zhou, Li Fan said. Su, Liang Su said. Su, however, the matches for the top 32 would still be held in the indoor arena on the 1st floor. The top 16 would be selected before 9 o'clock. The top 16 will be held in the outdoor arena. Starting from 9 o'clock, the top 16 will compete continuously. In the afternoon, it will be the top 8. Lu Bufan also sent a WeChat message to Li Fan. Looks like this kid is very lucky to be in the top 32. However, the top 32 should be experts. With Lu Bufan's results, it would be very difficult for him to win. Bang! Just as Li Fan was about to meditate, someone knocked on the door. Who is it? Li Fan thought it was strange. Who would be looking for him at this time? He opened the door and was dumbfounded. Good heavens, it's actually Teresa? This beautiful French contestant was dressed in a combat suit during the day, but at night, she changed into a beautiful and sexy dress. She stood at Li Fan's door with 2 glasses of red wine in her hands and looked at Li Fan with a smile. Dearly, how about we have a drink? Li Fan closed the door behind him. Hey, isn't it too impolite for you Chinese to treat your guests like this? I have something to tell you. Where's the important information? It's not a good idea to let Teresa shout outside. It'll be bad if she attracts other people. This woman, how did she find out that I'm staying here? This venue is too bad at keeping the contestants' secrets. Li Fan had no choice but to open the door and let Teresa in. Teresa was wearing a clean and beautiful dress and sexy black stockings on her lower body. Years of practicing martial arts had trained Teresa's legs to be long and straight. As a natural-born Caucasian, Her fair legs looked even more alluring when paired with the black stockings. "Dear, sometimes you're really heartless." Teresa swayed her hips and walked into Li Fan's room. "The lounge of the top 32 is really not bad. It would be great if I could sleep here too. You're a famous martial artist. Don't tell me you don't have the money to stay in a 3-star hotel." Li Fan couldn't help but roll his eyes. "This Teresa is trying to trick me. No way." Li Fan was determined to block the sugar-coated bullets of capitalism. "Dear, it's so hot in the room." Teresa gently sat beside Li Fan and put the wine glass on the table next to her. Then she slightly pulled down her collar and revealed half of her breasts. Li Fan said it wasn't hot at first, but it made him feel a lot hotter. "It's so hot." Teresa simply took off the little dress on her upper body, revealing her upper body that was only wearing a sexy black leopard print bra. This is a woman's most powerful weapon. Even Li Fan couldn't help but feel weak under this kind of attack. He hurriedly stood up and avoided Teresa before saying, "Teresa, I'm not against romantic encounters, but I'm not interested in a married woman." "Don't say that. For us French, it's the same whether we're married or not." Teresa gave Li Fan an encouraging look. "Don't you feel excited about conquering a beautiful wife?" "Stop it, Teresa. Didn't you say you came to talk to me?" "Yeah, then sit down first and we'll talk slowly." Teresa lightly patted the bed beside her. "I have very important information to give you." "I'd better stand here and talk." "For a lady, it's very impolite of you." Teresa was a little sad. "Do you hate me that much?" Okay, you can talk, but don't get physical." Li Fan really couldn't do anything to this wolf-like Teresa. Chapter 1609. "Dear Li, I really have information to tell you." Teresa picked up the wine glasses and handed one of them to Li Fan. "Don't tell me you don't even want to drink my wine?" "All right." Li Fan picked up the wine glass and slowly took a sip. "This seems to be the red wine that Teresa brought herself. The taste seems to be pretty good." However, Li Fan doesn't really know how to taste red wine. He also doesn't know what is considered good wine and what is not. "I don't know much about you Chinese people's information on this tournament." Teresa raised her beautiful leg and took out her cell phone from the strap on her leg. Li Fan saw that there was actually a condom in the pocket next to the straps. "Look, there are a few international experts this time. Other than the black ghost bison that you met during the day, there is also a French warrior called White Tiger called Tiger." Teresa pulled up a photo of a burly man wearing a white tiger mask. "I heard that this man was born with the strength of a fierce tiger and is an outstanding professional wrestler in France. I think he later went to the United States to fight in WWE." "What is WWE?" Li Fan was stunned. "World Wrestling Entertainment, or WWE. You should have heard of it, right?" "Yeah, I've heard of it. I liked to watch it when I was young. It's very satisfying." When Li Fan was in junior high, he often watched WWE. Later on, he was discovered by the adults and was worried that Li Fan would have violent tendencies in the future, so he was banned. When he grew up, Li Fan heard that WWE is all acting. He doesn't know if it's true or not, but it's very satisfying to watch. "Those matches are just child's play." Teresa waved her hand. "What really excites Western people is this WWE, also known as the Underworld Wrestling Entertainment. In this place, there are almost no rules. Victory is the ultimate goal. The White Tiger Warrior, Tiger, is a famous pinnacle player in WWE. He has never lost a match in WWE. Those who fight with him are either crippled or dead. They don't have a good ending." "Hey, this guy is so powerful." Li Fan raised his eyebrows. He was very excited to be able to fight against such a player in the world. "There's one more. It's this mysterious hero from America, number 9. Teresa took out number 9's information. On it was a handsome man in uniform and a mask. Although he looked the same as Li Fan, number 9's genes had been strengthened. His physical body was even more tyrannical, and his height was close to 1.9 meters. Every muscle on his body was like half a rock, and he looked full of power. He's half a god in the hearts of the American people. It's said that he's the real-life version of Superman. He's worshipped by the American people. How powerful! But it is said that number 9 always has a female reporter named Windsor with him. It seems that she is number 9's agent. Maybe this Windsor is very important to number 9. Li Fan faintly felt that it was Windsor who changed the number 9, because Windsor's appearance was indeed a good beauty. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and Teresa each had their own merits. And what was worth praising was that Windsor had a bit of cuteness like a porcelain doll. Not to mention anything else, she was exactly the type that Li Fan liked. If number 9 was a person cloned from his own genes, he would also have a kind of love for this beautiful girl named Windsor. With such feelings, no matter how strong number 9 was, he probably wouldn't make a move on Windsor. If Windsor was a little more eloquent, maybe she could really influence number 9. Fate makes fools of people. Dearly, why are you sighing like this? Teresa was puzzled at first, but she suddenly smiled. You're right. It must be God's arrangement for me to meet you. Dearly, I really like you. Your strength makes it hard for me to control myself. As she spoke, she opened her arms and leaned into Li Fan's embrace. Li Fan originally wanted to push Teresa away, but he seemed to be aroused by Teresa, so he couldn't bear to push away the beauty in his arms. Teresa's mouth slightly hung a smug smile. She put some aphrodisiac in the wine and specially sprayed an aphrodisiac perfume. She didn't believe that this Li wouldn't give in. The reason why she did this was because, 1, she really liked this mysterious and powerful Chinese man. French women pursue romance and love. Since there was such a man, she was naturally willing to seek a night of pleasure. 2, she also wanted to get close to Li Fan and find out what this powerful secret of Li Fan was. The mysterious Chinese martial arts wasn't something that could be learned just because one wanted to. She heard that the Chinese always had some kind of sectarian bias, which caused the great Chinese martial arts to almost be lost in the end, resulting in the current situation where there was a gap between the young and the old. If she could learn this magical internal force, then she could also obtain the qualification to fight in the WWE. Teresa also liked to pursue martial arts, to pursue the feeling of victory. Teresa, under this state of being attacked by lust, Li Fan forcibly raised the internal force in his body and circulated it in his meridians for a few days in an instant, forcing out the poison of love that had been brewing in his body. Li Fan also instantly regained his sobriety and finally pushed Teresa, who was already a little confused and infatuated. Ever since he became a dragon knight, Li Fan had learned his lesson. This kind of one-night stand really couldn't be played. It was too easy to get into trouble. Not to mention other things, since Teresa could find his room, then Liang Ru, Murong-ing, and the others also had a probability of finding this place, right? When the time came, if the two of them saw that he was fooling around with a foreign woman, what would they think? Li Fan didn't want to be hunted down by the two women, so he forcibly put away the thoughts that he shouldn't have. Why, my dear Li? Teresa reached out and grabbed Li Fan's vital part. See, you're already so welcoming, aren't you? Oh my God, with your size, you really don't look like an Asian. We, the Easterners, naturally have our own talented, experts. Li Fan pulled Teresa's little hand away, calmed down his lust, stood up, and looked at Teresa again. Teresa, I respect you, but please respect me too. We Huaxia people have a more traditional and conservative concept of love. I hope you can understand. My dear Li, what are you worried about? Teresa was a little indignant that someone could actually ignore her charm. I won't let you be responsible for anything. We French people are very clear about love and marriage. We Huaxia people are different. But the probability of you having an affair, marriage change, and having a third party is very high. There are always some exceptions. Alright, Teresa, how about this? I'll teach you internal force and you give up on the idea of me. How about that? Chapter 16:10. Li Fan could tell that Teresa had made up her mind today, so he decided to take a roundabout route to save the country and let Teresa divert her thoughts. Dear Li, you're making it hard for me to choose. Teresa licked her lips. Can't I have both? Of course not, Li Fan emphasized. In China, there's a saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Alright, dear Li, it looks like I can only make one choice. Teresa said in her heart, with my charm, sooner or later I'll have the chance to push Li down. After all, I'm a famous beauty. No matter how persevering Li Fan is, he's still a man, right? I'll slowly conquer him, I'll definitely make him fall under my skirt. Then I'll first learn this magical inner energy from you. What should I do? How can I have inner energy? Logically speaking, at your age, it's already very difficult to cultivate inner energy. Is it impossible? No. Luckily you met me. As Li Fan spoke, he suddenly walked behind Teresa and placed a palm on her back. What are you doing? Without waiting for Teresa to react, a powerful inner energy poured into her body from Li Fan's palm. Teresa couldn't help but stretch out her hands and discovered that there was a silver-white stream of air wrapped around her hands. This is true energy? Sort of a little stronger than true energy. Li Fan nodded. I left a certain amount of inner energy in your body and opened up your meridians. This inner energy will automatically circulate in your body. Although it can't strengthen your dantian, it can maintain the absorption of the energy you get from food. As long as you eat, the inner energy you use can be regenerated. In an ordinary battle, the amount of inner energy in your body is enough for you to use. This is amazing. Teresa felt the air flow on her hands. She was very excited, so she tried to control the two air flows and began to gather them on her hands. Soon, 2 balls of white air condensed on her palms and continuously rotated. Amazing, is this true energy? How's the power? Power? Go to the training room and try it yourself. Li Fan yawned. I'm tired. I need to rest. Alright, I'm going to the training room. See you tomorrow, darling. I will cheer for you. In the end, Teresa was still a martial arts fanatic. Now that she had gained new strength, she immediately put on her clothes and ran downstairs to the training room. I'm finally free. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. After getting rid of this crazy French girl, the rest would be easy. He looked at the wide arena outside, stretched his body, and lay down on the bed. No matter who came looking for him tonight, he would absolutely ignore them. There will be a martial arts competition at 7 tomorrow morning. Let's get up at 6 and have breakfast. Before the martial arts competition, Li Fan didn't want to make himself so nervous. He lay on the bed and soon fell asleep. In his dream, he seemed to see another Fang Xiaoxue. When Li Fan woke up, he found that his pillow was a little wet. And it's a new day. Li Fan sorted out his emotions. He put on the heroic martial sex sportswear and opened the door. It was still very quiet outside. After all, it was only the top 32. Perhaps after the top 8, it would become lively, right? The top 16 would be selected in the competition at 7, so he still had time to have breakfast. However, before Li Fan left, a staff member brought breakfast to Li Fan. Sir, this is your breakfast. Please go to the 3rd arena after eating. Alright. They actually brought breakfast to my room? It seemed that the people from the Sky Martial Pavilion had thought this through. They were afraid that the contestants would have the opportunity to come into contact with each other before the competition and then start fighting. Please enjoy your meal. The staff member left after bringing breakfast. Li Fan simply ate a little. Now that he could absorb heaven and earth yuan qi, he didn't have a strong need for food. He just liked to eat according to his habits. Darling, you're up so early. When Li Fan went to the 3rd arena, he bumped into Teresa again. It was as if the girl had her eyes on him and was always around him. Hey, Teresa, didn't you get eliminated? Go back to France. Don't you miss your motherland? Of course I miss my motherland, but I miss you more. Teresa winked at Li Fan. She was wearing a white shirt and black Korean-style shorts, looking very pure. She followed closely beside Li Fan, as if she was afraid that Li Fan would get lost. The 3rd arena is this way, darling. Can't I go to the toilet? I can go with you. Fuck, why are you going in? I can help you, hold on. Li Fan had to give it to Teresa. This lady was really clinging to him. Fortunately, Liang Ru and the rest were not around. Otherwise, they would definitely cause a ruckus. Li Fan had to give up his plan to escape to the toilet and obediently went to the third arena. As a friend, Teresa could also enter and watch from the side. He came early, and his opponent had not appeared yet. There was only Li Fan in the arena. Li Fan looked at the time. It was already 7:20. The opponent was actually late? Hey, referee, the opponent didn't come. Should it be counted as his loss? Li Fan did not say anything, but Teresa went up to ask the referee. When the referee saw this blonde beauty, he was too embarrassed to say anything else and was about to announce. At this moment, the door was pushed open, and a group of reporters rushed in, surrounding a blonde, fair-skinned foreign man. Hey, this is the top 32, no spectators allowed. The referee hurriedly said to the reporters, but they all ignored him and frantically took pictures of the blonde, fair-skinned man. Oh, why is it this egomaniac? Teresa sighed. Who is this? Li Fan asked as he moved his muscles and bones. In any case, he was not in a hurry. An hour was enough to finish this match. At 9 o'clock, it should be the top 16. He is a WWE player, nicknamed Titan. Teresa told Li Fan. He is the WWE's world champion for the past 2 years. I heard that he did not even put the white tiger in his eyes and always wanted to beat that tiger into a sick tiger. Teresa groaned. This brother's appearance fee is extremely high. Why did he think of coming here to compete? After all, there is a prize for the first place. Li Fan smiled. It's fine. Then I will accompany him to practice. Be careful. Although this person is arrogant, he still has some ability. Teresa reminded Li Fan. At this time, Titan had already walked to the arena and extended 3 fingers to Li Fan. 3 minutes, I will let you go out lying down. Chapter 16:11. The surrounding cameras kept shooting non-stop, and the flashes kept hitting Tai Tan's body. This Tai Tan was indeed a handsome man, sunny and handsome. He posed in front of the camera, allowing the reporters to take pictures. You must take a more handsome picture. We, Tai Tan, are giving you face by letting you take pictures. Do you understand? The agent stood at the side, also arrogantly shouting at these people. Those reporters did not care. Their focus was on Tai Tan. Tai Tan, do you have the determination to win this martial arts competition? Why did you consider coming to China to participate in this kind of martial arts competition? Don't these opponents make you feel that they are too weak? These reporters raised their microphones, ignoring the martial arts competition, and continued to interview Tai Tan. Tai Tan crossed his arms, wearing a golden cloak, and smiled proudly. The reason why I condescend to come to this kind of place is to fulfill my promise from back then. Ferocious white tiger, I want to thoroughly defeat him in this remote and backward land. Li Fan frowned. This brother's words were a bit unlikable. After all, this was an international martial arts competition. One could really meet anyone. However, the martial artists on his side were also like this, so Li Fan was too embarrassed to say anything about others. Everyone else is just a stepping stone. Only the white tiger is my enemy. Tai Tan released a declaration of victory. I will beat him up, and then get this China's martial arts alliance master. Pa pa pa. Applause, flashes, and the sound of cameras taking pictures converged into a strange music, causing Li Fan to feel a little irritated. Contestant, please start your match immediately. The referee picked up the loudspeaker and urged loudly, if you don't start, I'll rule that you have lost the match. What are you rushing me for? You don't know manners. Tai Tan ridiculed. Didn't I say it already? In 3 minutes, I can take care of you, the sick man of East Asia. Those Chinese martial artists I met before were all too weak, so boring. Li Fan glanced at the referee, who nodded. I announce that the top 32 martial arts competition officially begins. As soon as he finished speaking, Tai Tan hooked his finger at Li Fan, meaning for him to make the first move. Li Fan didn't stand on ceremony. He strolled in front of Tai Tan and tentatively slapped his lower abdomen. Bang! The Titan's body didn't move. Li Fan couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He had used a little bit of his inner force, which was enough to deal with the 2-meter-tall muscular man, but it was useless against this wrestler called Titan. The muscles on his body seemed to have been trained to a very exaggerated level, right? Heh, did you not eat your fill? Tai Tan sneered. That's why I call you the sick men of East Asia. You don't even have the slightest bit of strength. Could this be called a fist? This is what you call a fist. With that, Tai Tan threw a hook directly at Li Fan's chin. Bang! Li Fan's body was sent flying and then fell on the arena. Heavens! Teresa couldn't help but exclaim. Her dearly, is he going to be defeated? The muscles on this Titan's body had been trained to the acme of perfection, and ordinary attacks were ineffective against him. Could it be that China's mysterious inner force can't deal with him? Teresa was a famous beauty in Europe and America. This man called Tai Tan had once pursued her, but Teresa hated his arrogance, so she didn't agree. He can't even withstand a single blow. Tai Tan disdainfully said, "Referee, announce my victory." Don't be anxious. Li Fan easily sat up from the ground. He rubbed his neck and looked at Tai Tan. Come, let's continue. You can take quite a beating. Tai Tan was slightly surprised. He suddenly took off his cloak and threw it to his manager. Then he quickly ran over and grabbed Li Fan with one hand. Then he twisted his body and went around to Li Fan's back and directly threw a German-style back throw. Bang! Li Fan's head smashed onto the arena. The reporters at the side were all exclaiming. Look, it's a German-style back throw. I'm afraid that the Chinese won't be able to take this head-on. That's right, who would be able to withstand this move? Even a tiger can't take it. The reporters were discussing. Tai Tan also let go of Li Fan, stood up and walked towards his manager. Hurry up and call an ambulance. He'll probably be lying in the hospital for 2 months. Just as Tai Tan finished speaking, Li Fan's voice rang out again. Then aren't you going to compensate for the medical expenses? What? Tai Tan suddenly turned around and realized that Li Fan was standing behind him, completely fine. What? Before he finished speaking, Li Fan suddenly took a step forward and met the attack with his palm, directly pressing it on Tai Tan's lower abdomen. Bang! This time, Tai Tan's muscles didn't help him. He directly slid out and slid towards the edge of the arena. Tai Tan endured the pain and forcibly stopped his body. But Li Fan once again appeared in front of him. Li Fan was not anxious. Both of his palms were like shooting targets. One palm after another, he continuously slapped Tai Tan's body. Bang, bang, bang. Li Fan consecutively struck more than 10 palms, causing Tai Tan to continuously retreat. Bang. Finally, Li Fan used both of his palms and slapped Tai Tan's abdomen. Tai Tan couldn't take it anymore and directly flew out. In a flash, he broke through the room's door and fell out of the room. Sorry, I used a bit too much strength. Li Fan said to his manager, help him call an ambulance. I estimate that he'll have to lie in the hospital for 2 months. The manager swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Looking at Tai Tan, who had already fainted and lying outside, he didn't know what to say. Tai Tan's trip to China actually came to an end just like that. But the reporters became excited and kept taking photos of Li Fan. The image of the heroic martial sex disciple also appeared in various foreign media. Darling, you are indeed the best. Teresa happily welcomed him and affectionately held onto Li Fan's arm. That egomaniac overestimated himself. He actually dared to challenge you. He's still quite powerful. Li Fan honestly said, among the ordinary people, he is indeed one of the best. But unfortunately, he met me. Consider this brother's bad luck. The top 32 competition is over. In a while, at 9 o'clock, they will officially enter the top 16 competition. Please return to the lounge and rest for a while. Wait for our notice. The judge's attitude towards Li Fan also became respectful. This person is too powerful. Furthermore, he really made the Chinese people proud. Under the flashing lights of the reporters, Li Fan brought Teresa, this little tail, back to his lounge. On the wall of the lounge, there was a big TV, which was playing the information of the selected contestants. Among them, Li Fan saw some familiar names. Rong Jiangfeng, Chapter 1612. Murong Ing, Jiang Feng, Liao Ju, these were definitely top-notch figures. The familiar ones from overseas were Bai Sen, Number 9, and Fierce White Tiger from WWE. Slightly below them were the sect leaders of the 6 great sections. Other than a Mei sect leader who was eliminated by him, Qingqing sect leader, the ambitious Wang Zhini was also here. Long Bailey, the brainless leader of the Kong Tong sect, also participated. Other than that, Kunlun sect leader, Miao Chen was also here. Shaolin martial fanatic, Master Yu Su was also here. Wudong sect leader Wu Jizi was a plain person, so he did not come, but his junior brother Wu Yangzi came. This Wu Yangzi was more ambitious than his senior brother. He was a bit like Qingqing Wang Zhini. But Wu Yangzi seemed to be the same as a Mei sect leader. They were both unlucky and were actually eliminated in top 32. Who is this brother? Li Fan saw an unfamiliar name, Niu Xuan, sect leader of heroic martial sect? Where did this guy come from? Dark Horse? Li Fan could not understand. From the name list on the screen, it seemed like this guy eliminated Wu Yangzi in top 32. Other than them, Luo Xuewu and Long Fangyu were also here. Long Fangyu and Long Bailey were brothers. In this martial competition, the two of them would most likely join hands again. Other than that, Li Fan also paid attention to 2 other people. One was his 7 hero sect's representative, Wang Yue. And the other was actually the devil sect's saintess? Good heavens, this woman who had some fate with me actually dared to come out? And she even directly announced my name, Saintess of Solipsism. Could it be that she also came for the 3rd page of the true immortal arts? Speaking of Saintess, Li Fan thought of his sworn brother, Lu Zhu. He did not know if it was because Saintess was going to participate in the martial competition, but Lu Zhu actually took a leave of absence and left Li Family Island to go to the mainland. Sigh, this brother of mine is good in every aspect, but he could not give up on the only I Supreme sect. The Saintess had eliminated Wang Yue. Although this little girl had improved a lot, her combat experience was still not rich enough. This was also a form of training for her. After all, it wouldn't be good for her to enter the top 16. 7 Chivalry Villa? The name of this sect didn't seem suitable to appear in China anymore. There was also Liang Ru. That little girl had also charged through thousands of men and horses and fought her way into the top 16. In this way, there were himself, Murong Ing, Jiang Feng, Liao Ju, Bison, Number 9, Wang Zhini, Long Bailey, Miao Chen Yu Su, Niu Xuan, Luo Xuewu, Long Fangyu, White Tiger, Saintess and Liang Ru. Although it was an international competition, only 3 foreigners made it to the top 16. Moreover, one of them was his clone, a real Huaxia descendant. This was probably a slap in the face for the West. This list of the top 16 is quite well-deserved. This list was not much different from what Li Fan had expected, except for Niu Xuan, who was a little surprising. Darling, you're amazing. You actually made it to the top 16. You're worthy of being the man I admire. Teresa was about to stick to him again, but Li Fan hurriedly pushed her away. Have you mastered your true qi? Why are you sticking to me? Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This woman was about to become a dog skin plaster. Isn't it because you're too attractive? Teresa was not shy at all. You're my sweetheart. Stop, we're not the same kind of people. We definitely can't go together. There's no need to go together. As long as I can enjoy the remaining 2 days with you, it's fine. Teresa said generously, romance is, after all, short-lived. I won't ask for too long. These words sounded especially romantic, but wasn't it just a one-night stand? All right, if you're willing, I can accompany you for these 2 days and teach you some martial arts. But let's not talk about the matters of the heart. Li Fan pointed to the arena below. In my heart, there's only this martial arts tournament. He's very important to me and even to the future of the entire human race. Is it that exaggerated? Teresa was a little surprised. A martial arts alliance leader, I don't even understand this concept. What exactly is an alliance leader? Alliance leader is just a title. Although this is important, the reward is more important. 1 million? That's not a lot. For a great expert like you, do you still lack money? Li Fan didn't know how to explain. At this time, his phone's WeChat rang. He opened it and saw that it was a message from Lu Bufan. Junior brother, where are you? Come out and drink with me. Damn it, I actually lost. Who did you meet? Li Fan had forgotten to pay attention to his cheap senior brother. Damn it, I met that American Emperor's number 9. This kid is strange, he sent me flying with one kick. He's so strong, and he didn't rely on his inner force. What the hell? Lu Bufan complained, come on, drink with me. It's my treat. But I still have to participate in the next competition? Damn it, you're so lucky. Lu Bufan couldn't help but shout, making it to the top 16, not bad. Unfortunately, the next ones are real experts. If you don't make it to the top 8, there's no prize money. Sigh. Lu Bufan sent another message to Li Fan. I'll go watch your competition later. Whether our contestants are eliminated or not, they will get a ticket to the front row of the auditorium. This was not bad. He didn't know if it was the arrangement of the Sky Martial Pavilion or the Martial Arts General Administration, but they still had some ideas. The competition is about to begin. Contestants, please get ready at your respective seats. The big screen and mobile app started to inform Li Fan. At this time, Teresa had to temporarily separate from Li Fan and go to the auditorium. At this time, in the open-air arena, the surrounding auditorium was full. The stands that could accommodate a total of 100,000 people were densely packed with people. Many people even stood in the aisle, wanting to watch the competition to the end. This was a world-level competition, and it was definitely something to watch. The stands were surrounded by 4 huge LCD screens. Countless small screens were connected together, forming the 4 huge screens. The screens showed the information of the 16 contestants for the audience to watch. At the same time, the Bank of the World also made a bet for this competition. They found the best actuary, and based on the combat strength of the 16 contestants, they would determine their winning rate. In this competition, the person with the highest winning rate was actually number 9. After all, compared to Huaxia's martial artists, number 9's name was more well-known. Bai Sen and the fierce White Tiger's winning rate was also very high. This was the result of the actuary's calculations. Chapter 1613. Are you crazy? When the boss of a famous gambling company saw the actuary's calculation results, he opened his eyes wide and cursed at the actuary from the east. How did you get your qualification certificate? Are you trying to bankrupt me? Pack your things and get lost. You don't deserve to be an actuary. Boss, you can fire me now, but you will regret it very soon. The actuary from the east pushed up his glasses. A hint of wisdom flashed in his eyes. You think too highly of the people from your country. How can their combat power compare to people like Bai Sen and White Tiger? I understand them because I am from China. The actuary insisted. You are the boss. I am the actuary. It doesn't matter if you don't believe me, but you will find me soon. Stop talking nonsense. Pack your things and get lost. The boss chased the actuary out of the door. Then, he looked at the calculation results of the top 16. You actually said that the people from China will win? Nonsense. Go and invite the other German actuary. This time, we are going to make a fortune. The bank was still in operation. They were waiting for the specific list of the top 16. Once the list was out, they would immediately start betting. Li Fan sat in his contestant seat. Through the glass window in front of him, he looked at the arena outside. In his room, there was also a huge LCD screen. He could see the contestants' announcement on it. A host was already sitting high up in the stands. Through the microphone, he began to host the competition of the top 16. At this time, the enthusiasm of the audience was also ignited. Waves of cheers came one after another. Many fans of the contestants also rushed over. Most of them were number 9, White Tiger, and the others. The scene was very lively. Around the stands, Li Fan saw a few old men in gray robes. These old men looked ordinary, but they gave Li Fan an indescribable sense of majesty. Could it be that these people were from the Sky Martial Court? The Sky Martial Court was probably the most mysterious organization in the martial arts world. They only appeared during the selection of the chief of the martial arts world. Every time, they would bring a prize that no one could refuse. This time, it was the third page of the True Immortal Technique. The list of 16 contestants has appeared on the big screen. Everyone, please take a look. The names of the contestants have been messed up. Next, we will be randomly selecting them. The host's voice was full of enthusiasm, guiding the mood of the audience. Li Fan looked at the jumbled names and muttered in his heart, "Can this thing really be fair?" Our first round of contestants has begun screening. Everyone, please watch the big screen. On the big screen, Murong Ying's beautiful appearance in a cheongsam appeared. My God, my fiancé is actually the first to appear. The door to the participant seating area in front of Murong Ying opened, and the former martial arts guild master leaped more than 10 meters with a single leap, landing lightly on the huge arena. The appearance of Murong Ying also made many people cheer. There were many boys present, and they were all Murong Ying's fans. After all, she was a beautiful guild leader. It wasn't too much for her to have her own support team. The screen of the second contestant continued to rotate, and soon, a familiar face of a woman appeared on the screen. Fuck, this is too much of a coincidence. Li Fan saw Luo Shuwu wearing a long white dress and a blue chiffon. These two women actually met. Luo Shuwu is probably going to be miserable. The guild leader of the Leaning Sword was also as beautiful as a fairy. Her long dress fluttered as she gracefully landed on the arena and stood opposite of Murong Ying. The first contestant is our former martial arts guild master. She is a very young and beautiful woman. It is said that she is the current head of the most powerful Murong villa in Huaxia. My God, her fan club is so strong. Almost an entire area is cheering for her. I have to say, our beautiful guild leader wearing a cheongsam is a fatal temptation. The host showed off his glib tongue, and the beautiful woman opposite is not inferior either. She is the guild leader of Huaxia's martial arts guild, Leaning Sword Laughing Breeze. Both of you are alliance masters, but let us wait and see who is stronger. It seems that we are quite fated. Luo Shu slowly pulled out the sword hanging on her waist and pointed the tip of the sword at Murong Ying. Come and fight. I will tell you that I am no longer the Luo Shuewu of the past. Okay. Murong Ying nodded. She stood there with her hands behind her back and looked at Luo Shuewu. I look forward to your challenge. As a saint-level expert, Murong Ying was definitely qualified to say this. Our former martial arts guild master is indeed domineering. She gladly accepted the opponent's challenge. The host continued to ignite the crowd's emotions. Take this. Luo Shuewu was also an expert of her generation. She seemed to have been concentrating on cultivation recently. Judging from the momentum she instantly raised, she should have made great progress. Under everyone's gaze, Luo Shuwu instantly crossed more than 10 meters and swept her sword at Murong Ying. Clang. However, Murong Ying raised her slender leg and kicked Luo Shuewu's sword high into the air. However, at this moment, Luo Shuewu waved her palm. With a cold frost air, she directly slapped Murong Ying's abdomen with an ice palm. However, Murong Ying also raised her right palm. Her palm was like fire. With a posture of a rooster standing on one leg, she met Luo Shuewu's palm. Bang! Their palms collided. Luo Shuewu's body immediately slid out. At the same time, her skin became a little red. In terms of internal force, Murong Ying was obviously much stronger than Luo Shuewu. Moreover, Murong Ying showed mercy and did not use too much internal force. Humph! Luo Shuewu seemed to have expected that she was no match for Murong Ying in terms of internal force. However, she was unique and had an alternative way of attacking. Luo Shuewu took a step back and stabilized her body. Then her palm turned white. She directly put it on the blade of her sword and wiped it. A layer of white frost immediately condensed on this shining sword. A layer of white ice actually formed on the blade of the sword, turning it into an ice sword. Murong Ying, take this. Luo Shuewu once again came in front of Murong Ying. She waved the ice sword in her hand repeatedly. With a bone-chilling cold air, she tried to hurt Murong-ing. However, Murong-ing was unmoved. She slightly opened her hands and controlled the internal force in her body. It condensed into pink cherry blossoms and rotated in front of her. Like a shield, it constantly blocked Luo Shuewu's ice sword. Murong-ing's talent of turning nothingness into reality seemed to have become much stronger after she reached the martial saint level. "You're very good." Murong-ing's eyes sparkled with persistence. "But I'm not the Murong-ing of the past." As she spoke, she suddenly aimed at a gap in Luo Shuewu's attack. 2 fingers suddenly touched the blade of her sword. Chapter 16:14. Clang. The cherry blossom shot out, and the ice sword in Luo Shuo's hand was broken. Luo Shuo was also sent flying. She looked at the broken sword in her hand in shock. Her ice blade was filled with internal energy, but it was broken so easily by Murong-ing? Murong-ing's strength had improved to that level again? Luo Shuowu landed on the ground and stared at the broken sword in her hand. She didn't come back to her senses for a long time. Murong-ing stood there with her hands behind her back and said loudly, "Luo Shuowu, do you admit defeat?" "I don't," Luo Shuowu said sternly. Then all her hair flew up. Every strand of hair turned snow-white, and the blue muslin dress on her also fluttered. Thick frost appeared at the place where Luo Shuowu stood. White snowflakes floated down from the clear sky. The spectators on the stands were shocked. There was actually such a powerful force that could affect the weather? The host also exclaimed repeatedly, calling for a miracle. At this moment, Luo Shuowu was like a snow woman. She stood on the ground with one foot and looked coldly at Murong-ing in front of her. "I didn't expect that after so many years, your mysterious ice chi has been trained to such a level." Murong-ing couldn't help but praise, "You're indeed the leader of Sword Reliance." These words are like sarcasm coming from the mouth of leader Murong. Luo Shuewu was unwilling. No matter how much she improved, she couldn't catch up with Murong-ing's pace. Could it be that only she had the strength and talent to follow by Li Fan's side? She was also a proud daughter of heaven. "But I said it out of sincerity to praise you. If you don't appreciate it, then forget it." Murong-ing naturally wouldn't explain. She stretched out her hand, and 2 swords condensed from cherry blossoms appeared in her hand. "I will use my strongest move to defeat you to show my respect." Seeing Murong-ing standing on one leg and holding the 2 swords, Li Fan couldn't help but be surprised. Good heavens, she's actually going to use the Yin-Yang Dragon and Phoenix sword by herself? In Jin Yang's novel, Xiao Longnu learned how to fight left and right, so she could use the Jade Maiden Plain sword alone. Could it be that Murong-ing had done it in the same way? This woman was indeed terrifyingly powerful. "Take this." Luo Shuewu circulated her profound ice true chi and prepared to give Murong-ing a palm strike. With her current palm strength, no matter who it was, she could freeze them. However, the moment she raised her hand, Murong-ing had already appeared behind her with 2 swords in her hands. Dancing Dragon and Phoenix. The first form of the Yin-Yang Dragon and Phoenix sword was activated, and Falling Snow Dance had no way of fighting back. Bloody wounds appeared on her legs, arms, and shoulders. Blood spurted out, and she fell heavily to the ground, losing the ability to fight. Looks like contestant Luo Shuewu is no longer able to fight. But what just happened? The host asked this question on behalf of all the audience. Previously, Murong-ing was too fast, the audience didn't even see her movements, and Luo Shuewu had already been defeated. As expected of the previous generation's martial arts alliance master, her strength is indeed outstanding. Let us congratulate contestant Murong-ing, and also give encouragement to contestant Luo Shuewu. Amidst the cheers and applause of the crowd, Luo Shuewu was helped down by the staff, and Murong-ing also returned to her contestant seat. Luo Shuo was really not bad, but the opponent she faced was too terrifying. Li Fan also felt pity for Luo Shu, who asked Murong-ing to be strong. Among these people, there were only a few who could win against Murong-ing. With Murong-ing's level of controlling the Yin-Yang Dragon and Phoenix sword alone, Li Fan felt that even he might not be able to defeat her without using the Heavenly Thunder transformation. He was still the great god of the universe. He actually created such a powerful kung fu like the heavenly thunder transformation according to his own attributes. They were not from the same plane, otherwise, if he made a move, he would probably destroy beyond heaven in minutes. Under everyone's expectant gaze, let us start the next round of contestant selection. This time, which two strong people will fight? While the host was speaking, the big screen had already begun to rotate the photos of the contestants. Soon, a figure stood out and was reflected on the big screen. Oh, this contestant is a beautiful little girl. The host saw the figure in the photo and couldn't help but praise. There are so many beautiful women signing up for this year's martial arts competition. It seems that kung fu and beauty are not exclusive. Let us welcome this contestant. Her name is Liang Ru. She is so young, but she holds a mysterious position in Huaxia, the Shang Fang sword. Everyone look, contestant Liang Ru has already walked into the arena. The sword on her back is the legendary Shang Fang sword. I heard that it has been passed down for thousands of years. The value of this sword alone is already immeasurable. Liang Ru's appearance caused the audience to cheer again. This was the effect of a beautiful woman. Li Fan looked at Liang Ru, wanting to see how she would perform. Oh my, contestant Liang Ru is only 19 years old. She is the youngest contestant in this year's martial arts competition. Her opponent, oh my god, is the leader of the Kong Tong sect, Long Bailey. The audience's hearts were in their mouths. This beautiful little girl was going to lose against a sect leader. From the audience's reaction, it seems that sect leader Long has a higher chance of winning. This sect leader Long is already 40 years old, but he still looks like a young man in his prime. The Kong Tong sect he leads is a large sect that has been passed down for hundreds of years in Huaxia. The Kong Tong sect is located on the Kong Tong mountain in Pingliang, Gansu province. The local customs there are very attractive. While the host was rambling, Long Bailey, wearing a black short-sleeved shirt, walked into the arena with a majestic gait. When he saw Liang Ru standing opposite him, he couldn't help but laugh. Little girl, you are participating in this martial arts competition at such a young age. I am a grandmaster, the leader of the Kong Tong sect. It doesn't seem right to bully you like this. How about this, I will let you make 3 moves first. Long Bailey had always been arrogant. He was confident in his profound skills and didn't take Liang Ru seriously. No need. Liang Ru's temper was like that of a stubborn donkey. She was also extremely proud. She didn't allow Long Bailey to look down on her. She immediately pulled out the Shang Fang sword on her back. The sword lit up with a light yellow light. The Shang Fang sword provided its own energy to Liang Ru and sent it into her body. In the next second, Liang Ru felt as if she had changed. Her ears and eyes became sharper and she had infinite strength. Swoosh! Liang Ru's body carried a fragrant wind as she streaked across the arena and instantly appeared in front of Long Bailey. According to the method that Li Fan taught her, Liang Ru stabbed at Long Bailey in a row. There was no need for any skills or experience. Liang Ru just relied on her own strength and speed to stab crazily. Chapter 1615. There was an old saying that went, a random punch could kill an old master. Moreover, Liang Ru had inherited the power of the Shang Fang sword. The speed and strength of each sword strike were perfect. Just a moment ago, Long Bailey was still boasting that he was awesome and wanted to let his opponent have 3 moves. At this moment, he was also stunned by this crazy stab. He hurriedly raised his true chi and poured his inner force into his hands. He used the roaring flame saber technique to continuously block Liang Ru's stab. However, he was still stabbed a few times, and blood kept spurting out from his body. Blazing sun illumination. In the end, Long Bailey had no choice but to transfer all the internal energy in his body and gather it on his palms. Both of his palms struck out at the same time, like the blazing sun in the sky. Just as Liang Ru felt the blinding light, her body was sent flying by the internal force and she landed far away. Phew! Long Bailey tapped on his body a few times to temporarily stop the bleeding. Then he looked at Liang Ru, who had stabilized her body, with some horror. How could this little girl be so powerful? Liang Ru was also very surprised. She did not expect that the sword-drawing method that Li Fan taught her would be so useful. No wonder people say that among all the martial arts in the world, only speed is unbeatable. Little did she know that Li Fan had actually researched this sword technique based on a set of martial arts from Jin Yong's book. What were the martial arts in the book? Of course it was the Bixia swordplay. In fact, Li Fan felt that in Jin Yong's book, especially in the Smiling, Proud Wanderer, the strongest swordplay should be the Bixia swordplay, not the solitary 9 swords. The reason why Lin Pingji lost to Ling Huchong was that he didn't have enough time to practice and his inner force foundation was not stable. As for Yu Buchuan, he lost to Ling Huchong because of Ling Huchong's powerful martial arts set. Solitary 9 swords plus absorbing stars, great technique plus Jin scripture. Among them, Dongfang Bubi was the one who had practiced the evil warding sword the most powerful. Although it was called the Sunflower Treasured Manual, in the end, it was still a set of martial arts. If Ling Huchong didn't join hands with Ren Wuxing, and if Yang Lianting didn't drag them down, Dongfang Bubi wouldn't have lost. Among all the martial arts in the world, only speed was unbeatable. This set of Bixia sword art could be said to be the sword intent of the Sunflower Treasure Manual. It could be summed up in one word: fast. It was as if Dongfang Bubi had an embroidery needle in his hand, and with a casual stab, he could execute a terrifying killing move. Liang Ru closed in on Long Bailey once again. She used the same trick as before. She threw out a set of rapid thrusts, thrusting towards Long Bailey. Li Fan couldn't help but smile bitterly. This lass really didn't know when to stop. Although her sword was fast, it was the most ordinary random stabs. This fast sword had reached a high level. It should be like Murong Ing, who didn't easily use her sword, but when she used her sword, she would hit a vital point. Although Long Bailey was a little flustered at the beginning, he was, after all, an experienced fighter. He quickly adapted to Liang Ru's rhythm. Although Liang Ru's sword was fast, he quickly retreated and dodged her attacks. Soon, Liang Ru was a little tired, and sweat appeared on her forehead. Even with the power provided by the Shangfang sword, she still found it a little hard to endure such a high-frequency combo. Soon, Liang Ru slowed down her pace, but at this moment, Long Bailey suddenly attacked. He directly passed through Liang Ru's attack range and chopped Liang Ru's shoulder with a knife hand. Bang! Fortunately, Liang Ru had the power to protect her body. Otherwise, she might not be able to keep her arm. Even so, she was still sent flying high into the air. Liang Ru somersaulted in the air, barely stabilized her body, and then landed on the ground. But even so, she still looked a little painful as she knelt on the ground. The corner of Long Bailey's mouth hung a complacent smile. This lass wanted to fight with him, but she was still too inexperienced. The strongest part of his roaring flame blade was that he could send inner force into the opponent's body. Long Bailey's inner force was incomparably scorching. He could adapt to it, but the opponent couldn't. Once the inner force entered the opponent's body, it would immediately cause damage to the opponent's meridians. This lass in front of him actually injured him. He really couldn't forgive her. "Young lady, it's already not bad that you can injure me." As Long Bailey spoke, he gathered his inner force on his hands. His hands became incomparably red. True qi boiled and twisted on them, like half of a burning flame. "But that's all there is to your strength. You're nothing more than a stepping stone for me." As he spoke, Long Bailey used his Kong Tong Sek's unique Qinggong, shattering mountains and rivers, and leaped towards Liang Ru. Liang Ru hurriedly took 2 steps back. Long Bailey landed in front of her and stomped heavily on the ground. With a bang, the ground trembled slightly, and Liang Ru's body also swayed. At this moment, Long Bailey's hands danced with the roaring flame blade. Swish swish. 2 blades landed solidly on Liang Ru's body. Liang Ru's clothes were sliced open, and fresh blood and skin splattered out. Li Fan slammed the table and stood up. This Long Bailey, fighting is one thing, but he actually took the opportunity to act like a hooligan. Under everyone's gaze, a golden light wrapped around Liang Ru, wrapping her up like a giant golden egg, and landed on the ground at the side. Heavens, what is this? Giant golden egg. The host was still worried at first, but when he saw this giant egg, he couldn't help but mutter, "Our contestant Liang Ru, does she still have any special moves that she hasn't used?" Just as he voiced his doubts, Long Bailey didn't want to hesitate. In order to prevent any accidents from happening, he immediately jumped towards the giant egg. Gotcha! At this moment, the golden egg cracked open, and Liang Ru jumped out from inside. At this moment, Liang Ru was wearing a golden battle robe and holding an Shang Fang sword in her hand. Her heroic spirit was overbearing, as if she was a goddess of war. Liang Ru's eyes turned golden. She waved her sword, and a golden sword chi immediately swept over, attacking Long Bailey's body. Long Bailey didn't expect that there would be such a move. His hand blade barely blocked the sword chi, and he was sent flying. Long Bailey somersaulted a few times in the air before he barely landed on the edge of the stage. Both of his hands were still trembling, and the skin on his hands had been ruptured. Fresh blood flowed out, dyeing his hands red. Heavens, our contestant Liang Ru seems to have changed into a different person. What did she just wave out? Is it sword chi? The host was dumbstruck, and the audience was also crying out in surprise. This was the first time they saw such an attack. Imperial Sword Technique. Liang Ru's hands separated, and the Shang Fang sword directly flew into the air, revolving around Liang Ru. Unbelievable! Could it be the Imperial Sword Technique? Our Chinese martial arts expert can actually use qi to control the sword? I think many of the audience are the same as me, and it's an eye-opener. It's just magic. Bai Sen, who was sitting in the contestant's seat, saw this scene, but he was disdainful. Chinese people just like to use fancy things, but they don't have any practical value. Just as Bai Sen was ridiculing, the sword suddenly shot out, and instantly appeared in front of Long Bailey. Chapter 1616. Liang Ru, as the new generation's Shang Fang sword, is also China's guardian. Her soul has obtained the recognition of the sword souls, so she can obtain great power from the Shang Fang sword. Li Fan has also used this kind of sword technique before. Through communicating with the sword souls, he borrowed their power and played with the sword in tent transformation. Fusing the Shang Fang sword with himself and becoming one with the sword can increase his strength by 2 or 3 times. Previously, Liang Ru's strength was at the peak of perfection, but after the transformation, her strength has smoothly climbed to the realm of a generation's grandmaster. At the same time, the sword souls have also imparted their rich combat experience to Liang Ru. The current Liang Ru is no longer that young and inexperienced rookie who has just obtained power, but a true combat master. She controlled the flying sword and instantly arrived in front of Long Bailey, directly stabbing towards Long Bailey's throat, one sword to take his life. Long Bailey was shocked. He hurriedly waved his hand, trying to split the flying sword. But when he waved his hand, he actually swept the air. My palm actually pierced through the sword's body? What the hell? In the next second, he felt a sharp pain in his leg. Long Bailey lowered his head and saw that the Shang Fang sword had actually pierced into his calf. Damn it! Long Bailey did not understand the situation, but Li Fan could roughly see it. Long Bailey casually waved his blade, but with his level, it is impossible for him to casually make a move. This shows one thing in Long Bailey's eyes: the Shang Fang sword that he saw was aimed at his upper body. What does this mean? At that moment, Liang Ru used her mental power to confuse Long Bailey, creating a fake Shang Fang sword in Long Bailey's mind, causing him to fall for it. This move was truly terrifying. It was both real and fake, real and fake. This was also a high-grade martial art. The stronger Long Bailey is, the more combat experience he has, the easier it is for him to fall for it. Because to Long Bailey, when he sees the opponent's attack, he will almost subconsciously counterattack. This way, he basically can't avoid Liang Ru's illusory sword. Sure enough, Liang Ru once again created the illusory sword. Long Bailey's palm hit the air, and the Shang Fang sword stabbed into his left arm from the side. The 2 consecutive stabs caused Long Bailey to lose a lot of blood. He retreated a few steps and jabbed an acupoint to stop the bleeding. However, he had lost too much blood. A sense of dizziness had already enveloped Long Bailey's eyes. Everything he saw was a little blurry. Damn it. I'm actually going to be defeated at this step. Long Bailey couldn't help but feel annoyed. He was too careless. The successor of the Shang Fong sword really couldn't be underestimated. Even though she was just a little girl, she still made him suffer so much. I will not lose. I won't eat your moves anymore. As Long Bailey spoke, and Shang Fong's sword appeared in front of him. I won't be fooled again. Long Bailey forcibly controlled himself and did not take the sword. However, the treasured sword was solid. It directly pierced through his lower abdomen and came out from his back. Long Bailey took a few steps back and widened his eyes. Then he knelt on the ground. The match is over. Seeing that Long Bailey had been fatally injured and had lost his ability to fight, the host hurriedly announced the result. Liang Ru relied on the Shang Fong sword to defeat the leader of the Kong Tong sect. This kind of attack method was an eye-opener for many people. Illusory sword? The Shang Fong sword really lives up to its name. The eyes of Wang Zhen, Yu Su, and the others lit up. However, they were true masters after all. After the battle, they also had a way to deal with the illusory sword. Even if they met Liang Ru in the next match, they also had a way to deal with the illusory sword. How was it? Did I perform well? Liang Ru immediately sent a WeChat message to Li Fan after returning to the contestant seats. You did perform well, but it's all thanks to the sword soul. Li Fan's words made Liang Ru unhappy. The little girl rolled her eyes. You also have to learn more from the sword soul and absorb their combat experience. I know. Stop being so long-winded. It's your turn in a while. Don't lose. Thank you for your concern. Li Fan was neither servile nor overbearing. He just stood there and looked at the arena outside. In the next round, who would be fighting who? Under the expectant gazes of the audience, we welcome the third match of the day. The round of 16 was indeed unusual. In just a short while, 2 people had already advanced. Will the third round of the round of 16 be as smooth as before? Let's wait and see. Soon, the third round of the round of 16 was announced. The Shaolin Abbot, Master Yu Su, was up against the American superstar, Hero number 9. The old abbot stared at the baldy, pressed his palms together, and slowly walked into the arena. As for number 9, he was dressed in his familiar black uniform and cloak. Like a hero on television, he descended from the sky and landed in front of Yu Su with a bang. It's the American superhero, number 9, who has appeared. He's indeed an idol-like figure. His appearance is also so cool. Half of the audience is cheering for him. It seems that this superhero is very popular. Number 9's popularity in the West was at the level of a nuclear bomb. His appearance excited the fans. These fans were all wearing number 9's clothing and cheering for him. Number 9, I love you. Go, number 9. Defeat that evil monk. You're the strongest. Upon hearing these cheers, the enlightened monk was a little dumbfounded. Amitabha, when did I become evil? Ignore them. Number 9 crossed his arms and stood in front of the old monk. Make your move. Amitabha. Benefactor, you are too polite. Watch this old monk's 1,000 Buddha palm. Yu Su was indeed Yu Su. His decades of cultivation were not for nothing. He was just like a meditating old Buddha, but in the blink of an eye, he moved like lightning. With a yellow beam of light, he instantly appeared in front of number 9. At the same time, 1,000 Buddha palm went straight for number 9's forehead. Number 9 was still hugging his arms as if he could not react in time. He was directly slapped in the forehead by Yu Su. Bam! Master Yu Su was like an Asura during the match. He did not hold back. 1,000 Buddha palm had astonishing power. The ground under number 9's feet directly shattered. Rubble and bricks flew everywhere. Amitabha, benefactor, are you all right? Yu Su was also a little regretful. He could not control himself during the fight and was a little too ruthless. I'm fine. Number 9 stood there with her arms crossed, replying indifferently. To Buddha. Not only Yu Su, all the Shaolin disciples in the surrounding stands let out a Buddhist chant. It was too shocking. He took a direct hit from their abbot's 1,000 Buddha palm and was actually unscathed? Old monk, continue. Chapter 16-17. As soon as number 9 finished her words, a beautiful blonde girl holding a megaphone shouted from the spectator stand. As a hero, you must speak politely. You must call him master. The megaphone was extremely loud with an ear-piercing screech, causing the security guards to run over and take away the girl's tools. Number 9 coughed twice and corrected herself. Master, please continue. Li Fan was dumbfounded in the contestants' seating area. Fuck, was this the number 9 he knew? The current number 9 was not domineering at all. Instead, he looked like a bronchitis. Fuck, he was a man cloned with his own genes. How could he be a bronchitis? He should be like me, domineering and unparalleled, making women obey him. Look at me, Li Fan. When have I ever listened to a woman's manipulation? Li Fan, if you and I fight later, you must use all your strength. No mercy. Do you hear me? Li Fan was filled with righteous indignation when he suddenly received a voice message from Murong Ing on his WeChat. Yes. Li Fan replied obediently. The competition was still going on. Although number 9 was provoking him, Master Yu Su had a high state of mind. Naturally, he would not fall for it. Amitabha, almsgiver has a strong body. It's like becoming a Buddha or a saint. This old monk admires you. What Buddha? What saint? It's all bullshit. Number 9 said, what Buddha? What saint? It's all bullshit. Because the contestants were all wearing microphones, their words could be heard clearly by everyone in the audience. Therefore, number 9's words caused the fans to scream again. Each of them was extremely excited. Amitabha, if almsgiver has no Buddha in his heart, he is either good or evil. What is good? What is evil? Number 9 said, I once saw a drug lord who killed countless people. In order to save his old mother, he was willing to sacrifice his organs even if he lost his life. Tell me, is such a person good or evil? Put down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha. Since he has the heart to repent, that is good. But in order to find the remaining organs that could be used, he captured 100 undocumented immigrants and gave them their hearts one by one. Was that good or evil? Even Yu Su was speechless for a moment. In Huaxia, a man named Han Fizi once said that human nature is evil, so people can't be weighed by good and evil. They can only be restrained by the law. Number 9 said loudly, those who break the law must be punished. Even if it was a small evil, he couldn't let it go. Some people were good at exploiting loopholes in the law. After all, the law was dead. But I am alive. I am number 9, and I am also the Punisher. Li Fan thought, why does number 9 speak so smoothly? Could it be that the female reporter named Windsor taught him these words? At this time, the host also spoke. Number 9's discussion with Grandmaster seems to have some reason. Our Huaxia is also a country governed by law, but the law must be enforced by the law enforcement department, and justice cannot be proclaimed by one person. The host's words did not receive the approval of most people, but what he said was the most basic truth. In this place, the individual cannot be greater than the law. Even a national hero like Li Fan had to be restricted. This was different from number 9. He was in the United States, and the people there pursued heroes and freedom. Everyone naturally had their own values. In other words, they had their own gods and Buddhas. Grandmaster Yu Su didn't bother arguing with number 9. Instead, he continued to use his 1,000 Buddha palms to fight number 9. Number 9 was still hugging his arms like an Iron Man, allowing the old monk's iron palms to land on his body. Pung ping pung. Explosions rang out continuously, and a strong energy exploded from number 9's body, striking the surrounding area. But no matter how Yu Su attacked, number 9 was perfectly fine, as if he wasn't injured at all. Amitabha, the old monk finally saw something and couldn't help but sigh. I am not your match, I admit defeat. This Shaolin abbot, the leader of the martial arts world, admitted defeat after a few blows. Everyone around was shocked, but those who bet on number 9 to win all laughed out loud. Look, Number 9 is still the strongest. The Bank of the World's boss nodded his head in satisfaction. My previous actuary must have gone mad. If I followed his plan, I would have lost everything. Chinese people can't be trusted, so I can help you earn so much money, the German actuary said confidently. In his prediction, number 9 and the fierce white tiger would meet in the finals, and the person who would win would definitely be number 9. But as a bet, there had to be a way. Otherwise, if everyone favored number 9 and bet on it, they would lose miserably. So, for such a competition, they would usually use time as a way to increase the fun of the bet. For example, if number 9 defeated the fierce white tiger, they would give him a handicap of 10. What did this handicap mean? It meant that number 9 had to defeat the fierce white tiger within 10 minutes for it to be considered his win. If he didn't win within 10 minutes, then it would be considered his win. In this way, there would be people betting on the fierce white tiger. This time, number 9 won by a handicap of 7. After all, the Shaolin abbot, Master Yusu, was the leader of the martial arts world, and his strength was recognized. So, the bet was for number 9 to defeat Master Yusu within 7 minutes. Many people thought that Yusu was an expert, and Shaolin had been the strongest sect in China since ancient times. Wasn't there a saying that all the martial arts in the world originated from Shaolin? In the past, there was a Shaolin temple movie that was popular all over the world. So, a lot of money was spent on Yusu. 7 minutes. Didn't the Shaolin abbot have some golden bell shield and iron shirt? He should be able to hold on, right? Who would have thought that he would admit defeat within 2 minutes? A large sum of money entered the bank and the boss was overjoyed. Many gamblers cried on the rooftop. Number 9 is a well-deserved hero of the United States. He defeated the leader of the martial arts world, Master Yusu. The host was also promoting number 9 for the sake of the atmosphere. Many people in the arena are still shouting number 9's name. I wonder if the Huaxia expert who will face him in the next battle will be able to turn the tables. Li Fan sat in the contestant's seat and fell into deep thought. Number 9's strength seemed to have increased a lot. At least, he was much stronger than the last time he went to Li Family Island to find his clone. He was indeed a comrade with his own genes. It made sense that he was strong. The name list for the 4th round is out. It's Li Yun from China's Valiant sect against our black boxing champion, Bai Sen. The crowd cheered again, and the information of the two appeared on the big screen. At this time, the bank also started operating. According to the actuary's calculations, the boss gave the two a handicap. Bai Sen defeated Li Yun, handicap of 3. Chapter 16-18. Bai Sen was a famous black boxing champion, and no one dared to underestimate his strength. It was said that even the fierce white tiger would have to be courteous to Bai Sen when it met him. Bai Sen's fists were fast and fierce, and he was known as the Bullet Fist King. In other words, his fists had the same speed and power as a bullet. At this moment, Bai Sen was fighting against an unknown Chinese martial master, and almost all the Westerners were looking at Bai Senator. Even the Easterners themselves did not have any hope for Li Yun, a person from the heroic martial sect, who they had never heard of before. One must know that they often went to watch Bai Sen's boxing matches. They had personally seen a video of Bai Sen punching a cow's head. This kind of terrifying arm strength was not something that just anyone could have, right? Especially when Li Yun appeared, everyone couldn't help but sympathize with him when they saw his thin and weak body. This brother was definitely going to be very miserable. Li Fan patted the dust off his clothes, and under the host's voice, he stood in front of the black and rough Bai Senator. Although Bai Sen was not 2 meters tall, he was at least 1.9 meters. The muscles on his body were streamlined and very full. With one look, one could tell that he was a person who often fought. Moreover, he trained himself very well, and his body was also maintained at its peak condition. Oh my God, our heroic martial sect's little contestant actually met the Bullet Fist King Bai Sen. He is really too unlucky. The host exclaimed, I really don't know if our contestant Li can last a little longer under Bai Sen's hands. Bai Sen's chances of winning against Li Fan was 3%. As long as Li Fan could last for 3 minutes without losing, he would be the winner in the Bank of the World's bet. It was only 3 minutes. It seemed that no one was optimistic about Li Fan at all. It's time for the match, let's pray for contestant Li. Li Fan felt that the host's voice was a little noisy. Bai Sen swayed his arms, and his feet stepped on the unique footwork of a boxer, jumping back and forth a few steps. He was like a powerful hunter staring at his pitiful prey. There were many Bai Sen fans around, and they were all cheering for Bai Sen, shouting his name in unison. Each wave was stronger than the last. The martial emperor sat in his competitor's area and lightly harumphed as he looked at the scene outside. Although you have changed your appearance, I can still recognize you at a glance. Li Fan, do you see that? Even if you work hard for these people, they still don't care about you. Every man for himself, and heaven and earth destroy him. I should be the one to lead and educate these foolish people. The bank boss sat in front of the television and watched the broadcast. He laughed coldly to himself. Poor Huaxia monkey, you will soon become my money tree. The signal for the start of the match rang out. Bai Sen's fans were ready to celebrate their boxing champion. Bai Sen quickly moved forward. He was extremely fast in his galloping state. With a gust of wind, he arrived in front of Li Fan. Then, he threw a quick punch at Li Fan's nose. Bai Sen didn't hold back. The Chinese man in front of him had blocked his attack before. He wasn't weak and definitely couldn't be underestimated. In everyone's eyes, Li Fan's head would definitely be smashed by this punch and he would be sent flying. But they were wrong. Li Fan just reached out with one hand and blocked Bai Sen's fist. With a peng, energy exploded from Li Fan's palm. Bai Sen's fist wasn't weak. You have some skill, Bai Sen said as he pulled out his fist from Li Fan's hand and threw a series of quick punches at Li Fan. Peng ping ping. The air exploded as Bai Sen threw no less than 30 punches in the blink of an eye. But Li Fan had one hand behind his back and the other in front of him, blocking all the punches. God, the Bullet Fist King lives up to his name. His fists are as fast as bullets. But Li Fan isn't any weaker. He is thin and weak, but he is on par with Bai Sen. As the host spoke, Li Fan suddenly moved his body horizontally and then punched out with both fists, heavily hitting Bai Sen's chest. Our head strikes the bell. This was the move that Lu Bufan taught Li Fan. It was also the basic boxing technique of the Shaolin sect. It actually sent Bai Sen flying and he fell heavily to the ground, lying there. Unbelievable! Li Yun actually sent the boxing champion Bai Sen flying. Without waiting for Bai Sen to stand up, Li Fan flew forward again and kicked Bai Sen's head, sending him flying and crashing outside the ring. Bai Sen fainted there, motionless. He had lost the right to compete. The audience quietened down. Bai Sen's fans were stunned, the audience in front of the TV was stunned, and even the bank's boss was stunned. The boxing champion Bai Sen actually lost? Oh yeah! Teresa waved her little fists excitedly in the stands, while Lu Bufan sat not far away, completely dumbfounded. Oh my God, what's going on? Junior brother is actually this strong? I even tried to guide him, but he turned out to be the real expert. I've practiced the R-hit fist for half my life, but I'm not as effective as Junior brother. Shameful, this is too shameful. Fortunately, Junior brother's character is not bad, so he probably won't laugh at me. But seeing Teresa's expression that seemed to be smiling yet not smiling, he felt like dying. But he did not know that the one who wanted to die the most was the bank's boss. Damn it! What kind of magic did this Huaxia person use to actually defeat Bai Sen? Damn it, I've lost miserably in this match. Although it was not to the extent of hurting his muscles and bones, it still made his heart ache. Alright, there are gains and losses. I'll make you lose everything in the next match to me. The bank's boss's eyes revealed a vengeful glint. It's really unexpected. Li Fan could hear the sound of the host swallowing his saliva. Our China's heroic martial sect's little contestant, Li Yun, defeated the boxing champion Bai Sen and won the top 16. No matter what, this is a miracle. Let us be happy for him. A round of applause finally came from the stands. Many of the Chinese spectators also shouted Li Yun's name. Whether they supported him or not, Li Fan actually did not care. But hearing that everyone was cheering for him, Li Fan still felt a little happy. No matter what time it was always good to know that there were people supporting him. Dear, do you want to go back and celebrate? I'll accompany you. Li Fan received a WeChat message from Teresa. This girl, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. She actually registered a WeChat account in China. No, I want to see my next opponent. You better watch too. You'll have a new understanding of Kung Fu. Alright, a man with no taste. Teresa could only send a crying emoji. The contestants for the next match are out. Let us see who they are. Chapter 1619. In a short while, half of the top 16 had already passed. Li Fan was also looking forward to the participants in the 5th round of the competition. The demonic sect's holy maiden against the Kunlun sect leader. This woman who claims to be the solipsism holy maiden has a mysterious identity. Even our competition committee does not know her identity. The host looked at the masked holy maiden and expressed his regret. I'm sorry, we can only provide this information because the tradition of the Martial Circle Assembly is to respect the privacy of every participant. If the other party is not willing to reveal her identity, we can only accept it. This kind of situation would only appear in the Martial Circle Assembly jointly organized with the underworld. And her opponent is the sect leader of Kunlun, one of the 6 major sects in Huaxia, Miao Qin. The host finally had someone to introduce. Miao Qin is 39 years old this year. He leads Kunlun, a famous sect in Huaxia. Kunlun sect is located in Qinghai's Kunlun Mountain. It is also an immortal-like holy land. Friends who have the opportunity to go to Kunlun Mountain, why not go to Kunlun sect to take a look? It is said that Kunlun produces immortals. Although I have never seen an immortal, this sect leader Miao has the demeanor of an immortal. Miao Qin stood in front of the holy maiden. This so-called immortal-like sect leader had an ugly expression. Demonic sect scum, Jianghu people, everyone has the right to punish you. As the demonic sect's holy maiden, you actually dare to appear. You really have guts. Ox nose, you can't scare me. The saintess had one hand on her slender waist and the other was playing with a sword. When Li Fan saw this sword, his gaze tightened. For elephant's sword. My God, my good little brother really lent his sword to the holy maiden. Looks like this time, the demonic sect is determined to obtain the alliance leader's reward. The holy maiden's voice was enchanting, carrying a bit of charm, as if the 9-tailed divine fox was reincarnated. Her pair of spring water-like eyes looked at Miao Qin and provoked. The rules of the Martial Circle Assembly is that all grudges in Jianghu should be settled in the arena. Why, Ox Nose, could it be that you wish to ignore the rules set by the Sky Martial Pavilion and bring your disciples and grand-disciples to kill me here? Miao Qin swept his horsetail whisk. Don't be so arrogant. This poor Taoist alone can end you. Kunlun Mountain was also a Taoist martial arts sect. Every sect leader would become a Taoist priest, but they were also Taoist priests who ate meat and drank wine. This Miao Qin looked to be serious, but he actually had a large number of wives and concubines, and he'd never followed the rules of Taoism. Although Miao Qin didn't like to talk normally, but when it came to the matters of the devil cult, he also showed his abhorrence of evil. Last time at the 7 Chivalry Mountain Villa, I thought that Miao Qin was quite low-key. Li Fan crossed his legs and looked at Miao Qin on the stage. Now that I've seen you today, it turns out that you're someone who likes to pinch soft persimmons. Do you think that I'm a pushover and easy to bully? The saintess also saw through Miao Qin's thoughts. If you want to defeat me, you'll have to try the 4-elephant sword in my hands first. This sword is really in the hands of your devil cult. Miao Qin's eyes looked at the sword, and greed flashed in his eyes. Back then, the little overlord Li Fan lost this sword. Today, let this poor Taoist take it back. Feel free to try. The saintess sneered. As the competition began, she directly waved her hand. Sword chi crisscrossed, and a fierce white tiger pounced out of the void. Then, it turned into 4 clones and pounced towards Miao Qin from 4 sides. What is this? The host was dazzled by what he saw. This Saintis contestant actually conjured 4 fierce tigers? Today's martial arts tournament has really broadened my horizons. I believe that the audience present also feels the same way. What he said was indeed correct. These audience members had never seen this before. A treasured sword that could turn illusions into reality. This kind of treasure was rarely seen even in the martial arts world. For thousands of years, there was only one 4-elephant sword. What the people of the martial arts world wanted the most was the true immortal art that could allow one to become an immortal. The second was the 9 Buddha Sutra that could allow one to become immortal. The third was the 4-elephant sword that could turn illusions into reality. Now that the 4-elephant sword and the true immortal art had appeared together, how could Miao Chen not be secretly delighted? First come, first served. Since he was the first to see it, then this 4-elephant sword belonged to him. Miao Chen did not pay any attention to those 4 fierce tigers at all. Miao Chen looked at the 4 fierce tigers and displayed the elegant wind god's legs. She easily kicked out 4 times, and the 4 white tigers that pounced towards her were all kicked to pieces. Li Fan could not help but feel a little regretful. It seemed that the Saintess did not make any progress. Even if she held the 4-elephant sword, she would not be able to display the true power of this sword. Demon girl, you are not worthy of this 4-elephant sword. Give it to this poor Taoist. As Miao Chen said that, she displayed the 8 steps cloud-treading qigong. In an instant, she flew more than 10 meters away. Her figure was extremely elegant and at ease. She was like a true immortal that had descended to the mortal world. It was pleasing to the eye. He forced his way to the front of the Saintess. With a series of wind god's legs, he kicked out a series of afterimages. He was prepared to defeat the Saintess in one move. But at this moment, the corners of the Saintess' eyes had a hint of a smile. She held the long sword with both hands and let out a delicate cry. Black tortoise. The huge dragon turtle wrapped around the Saintess' body. The sword chi on it directly sent Miao Chen's body flying. No matter how exquisite Miao Chen's wind god's legs were, at this moment, she had no choice but to fall into a somewhat awkward situation. Go to hell. The Saintess' body suddenly emitted a red light. Her strength instantly increased by at least 10 times. When Li Fan saw this scene, he could not help but stand up. So strong. At this moment, the Saintess' strength had actually risen to the Grandmaster realm? Was this her original strength? Or had she used some kind of secret technique to increase her strength? But no matter which one it was, Miao Chen was going to be out of luck. Sure enough, before Miao Chen could react, under his horrified and distorted gaze, the Saintess had already raised the 4-elephant sword and flung out a vermilion bird sword chi. The vermilion bird that was burning with flames was the size of a peacock. It flew out in an instant. Its speed was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, it passed through Miao Chen's body. Puchi! An arm that was burning with flames fell off. Miao Chen let out a blood-curdling scream. He revolved his true chi to shatter the flames that continued to burn around the wound. After that, he stopped his own blood. Finally, he fell to the ground. Unable to stabilize his body, he tumbled down. His originally combed hair had also come undone. This Kunlun Taoist priest no longer had that celestial-like demeanor from before. His hair was disheveled, and half of his body was charred black. He looked as miserable as one could imagine. You've lost. The Saintess sheathed her sword. This is the martial tournament. Bloody, cruel, but also filled with the glory of the martial artists. The host's voice rang out again. If this was an ordinary martial arts competition, I'm afraid the Saintess would have already lost the qualifications to compete. But this is the martial tournament. Everything has its own rules. A few medical staff came up and carried the heavily injured Miao Chen away. Chapter 1620. The host was right. It was indeed a martial arts competition. Li Fan looked at the Saintess who had defeated her opponent with a single move and couldn't help but mutter, I've really underestimated this Saintess. It seems that she has had a fortuitous encounter after parting with me. However, The kung fu she's using is a little strange, and I've never seen it before. Besides, it's evil and doesn't seem like an orthodox kung fu. I have to ask Lu Zhu what kind of kung fu it is when I see him later. After all, she's the saintess, and Li Wei might have taught her the demonic technique. What kind of kung fu is that? The people of the 6 major sects were astonished. At that moment, the aura that the saintess exuded was as evil as Li Wei's. I've heard a little about it in the pugilistic world. Li Wei created the supremacy technique. Could it be that it's that terrifying evil technique? Wang Zhini was rather well informed. He stroked his mustache and secretly guessed. The 5th round of the competition ended in bloodshed. I sincerely hope that there will be less bloodshed and more peace in this martial arts competition. Of course, I know I'm a little silly, but I can't help but look forward to it after seeing the scene just now. Li Fan couldn't help but shake his head after hearing his words. How could there be no bloodshed in this martial arts competition that concerned the perfected immortal technique? If it weren't for such an international competition, the pugilistic world would have long been filled with blood. Next is the 6th group's competition. Let's see what kind of competition these 2 contestants will give us. The big screen continued to select the contestants, and soon, Jiang Feng, who was wearing the commander's uniform of the Imperial Guards, appeared on it suavely. Oh, this is a famous person in China. He's very popular, not just in the martial arts world, but also in the hearts of ordinary people. That's because he's the commander of the Imperial Guards, the handsome Grandmaster Jiang Feng, who's only 25 years old. To be honest, if I were a girl, I might have screamed at this moment too. The girls in the spectator stand screamed. Due to Jiang Feng's handsome and cool appearance, he had many female fans. The photo of his opponent was also displayed. It was Long Fangyu. This leader of Whistling West Wind was full of ambition. However, he was too unlucky to have encountered Jiang Feng during the martial arts competition. Oh, we just received a message from Contestant Dragon. He has decided to admit defeat and withdraw from the top 16. In that case, Commander Jiang will win without a fight. The female fans screamed even louder, but Li Fan frowned. Although Long Fangyu was very smart and cunning, he wouldn't give up without even trying to probe Jiang Feng's strength, right? He should also have some trump cards. If he fought with his life on the line, it might affect Jiang Feng. Perhaps there was another possibility, and that was that he had joined forces with Jiang Feng, or reached some sort of agreement. In this way, Jiang Feng won perfectly and still retained his strength. On the other hand, Long Fangyu could also hide his trump card and use it at the most crucial moment. What 2 cunning foxes! Li Fan could not help but laugh bitterly. If the 2 of them were to join forces, it would really be a little troublesome. The next martial arts competition is between Qing Cheng sect leader Wang Zhenyi and heroic martial sects sect leader Niu Xuyin. The host announced the name of the next martial arts competition. I think everyone is familiar with the name Qing Cheng. Qing Cheng sect also practices Taoist martial arts. The sect is located in Sichuan Dujiang Yan's Qing Cheng Mountain. And his opponent is Niu Xuyin, who is also the senior brother of contestant Li Yun. As the senior brother of the sect leader, I'm afraid this contestant Niu's strength is even more terrifying, right? Niu Xuyin, Li Fan crossed his arms. He wanted to see the strength of this cheap senior brother. Under everyone's expectant gaze, the 2 of them appeared on the stage. Sect leader Wang did not show any mercy. He immediately used a secret technique. Everyone look, his claw grabbed towards sect leader Niu. This should be their Qing Cheng's secret technique, dragon capturing hand, right? Qing Cheng's high-level martial art, dragon capturing hand, is said to have the power to subdue dragons and tigers. But his opponent was not a dragon, nor was it a tiger, but a martial artist with the surname Niu. Niu Xuyin did not dodge. Instead, he took a step forward, followed by a clean straight punch, landing on Wang Zhenyi's lower abdomen. Don't. A muffled sound, Wang Zhenyi's body slid more than a meter away, while Niu Xuyin's fist was still faintly emitting white smoke. Righteous fist. Seeing this familiar move, Li Fan immediately stood up. This was the fist technique of the righteous technique that Takeda created. This Niu Xuan actually practiced the Japanese Takeda family's martial arts? Li Fan wanted to curse. Although everyone in the world practiced the martial arts of the world, a Huaxia person using Japanese martial arts to represent Huaxia in the martial arts competition still made Li Fan very unhappy. The righteous technique was very strong, and Takeda's righteous technique gave Li Fan a headache for a while. But when this Niu Xuan used it, its power was actually several times stronger. His strength was clearly above that of a grandmaster of a generation. Such a strong expert, whether in Huaxia or Japan, had never had a name. No matter how he thought about it, something was not right. Dragon chip. Li Fan clenched his fist. It seemed that all this was the effect of the dragon chip. Perhaps the reason why this Niu Xuan could be so strong, comparable to a grandmaster, was all because of the strengthening effect of the dragon chip. Wang Zhini beat him up. Li Fan had never supported Wang Zhini so much. This time was an exception. But since he participated in the martial arts competition, he did not even bring his prized treasured sword. How could this Wang Zhini make such a mistake? Everyone in Jianghu knew that Wang Zhini was most proud of his green dragon 9 blades. Isn't he too arrogant? Wang Zhini was forced back by Niu Xuan's punch, but he did not panic, only somersaulting in the air. Yuan Dengshun, this is the martial arts of Qingqing. Qingqing mountain was steep, so they practiced Qinggong to be able to jump freely in the mountain streams. Wang Zhini's movement technique was the same. He somersaulted in the air and pounced towards Niu Xuan. Dragon catcher hand. Wang Zhini's claw directly grabbed the top of Niu Xuan's head. With the strength of his claw, even a rock would be crushed. However, Niu Xuan did not dodge. Instead, he took another step forward and punched again. Righteousness fist. This was the essence of the righteousness technique that was born from karate, pressing forward with indomitable will, using one's strength to defeat all. This punch caused the air to distort. Wang Zhini's claw collided with it and was directly distorted. Following that, his whole body was sent flying and fell to the ground. Pfft. Wang Zhini spat out a mouthful of blood. It seemed that he was not going to make it. Li Fan frowned. Both of them were grandmasters. How could Wang Zhini be defeated so easily? Chapter 1621. Your martial arts are powerful, I am impressed. Wang Zhini stood up and took 2 steps back. He held onto his wound and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The new generation excels the old. Looks like it's time for us old guys to give way to the newcomers. Wang Zhini said as he turned and left the arena. He gave up? Admitted defeat? Li Fan was in disbelief. Wang Zhini was an ambitious man. How could he admit defeat so easily? Was Niu Xuan's strength really strong enough to make him feel like he was looking at a tall mountain? Niu Xuan? Li Fan remembered this name. He wondered if he would meet this person in the upcoming matches. There was only one match left in the quarterfinals. They didn't need to go through the selections. Liao Ju versus Fierce White Tiger. Next up is the quarterfinals. The host took out the name list for the last match and started introducing. Without a doubt, every match in the quarterfinals will be exciting. The last match will be highly anticipated as well. Let us welcome the 2 contestants for the last match, Emperor Liao Ju and BWE's Fierce White Tiger. Emperor Liao Ju, this person who should have been killed, was revived with the help of Outland. He wore a golden coat and floated down from the sky. He had the demeanor of an emperor as he landed on the arena. This contestant Liao claims to be the Emperor of China. Before the host could finish, Liao Ju raised a finger and said loudly with a voice imbued with immortal qi, "This emperor will gladly accept the champion of this martial arts competition." Emperor Liao's declaration caused an uproar. My God, this contestant Liao Ju is indeed arrogant. He actually said such words. Will he really get what he wants? Or is this just an ordinary demonstration? Opposite him, the highly anticipated ferocious white tiger had also entered the arena. This fierce white tiger was 2 meters tall. He wore a white tight suit with black tiger stripes. On his head, he was also wearing a white tiger mask. This professional wrestler was like a ferocious tiger walking on its hind legs. He looked mighty and extraordinary, and his aura was astonishing. This Emperor Liao sure is arrogant. The bank boss sat in front of the television and sneered, "Just him alone wants to win against our fierce white tiger? But this is also good. Let him heat up the atmosphere, and in this match, you will become a machine for me to break even." According to the calculations of the German actuary, the white tiger had a very high chance of winning against this martial emperor. It could give him a 50% handicap. "All right, go do it." The bank owner nodded. "This time, I want to earn back what I lost." The bets had already been placed. Many people saw that the ferocious white tiger was willing to give up 5. They thought to themselves that since this martial emperor could boast, he must be quite capable. He should be able to hold on for 5 minutes, right? Therefore, a large amount of money began to be injected into the martial emperor. It was as if the bank boss saw a mountain of gold placed in front of him. "That's right, throw more money at it. In the end, the money will all end up in my pocket." Seeing the martial monarch's provocation, the fierce white tiger stretched out its right hand and made a throat-slitting gesture. Contestant White Tiger has responded to the opponent's provocation. Looks like this will be another bloody battle. With the host's voice, the final round of 16 had officially begun. However, the martial monarch was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he just stood there with his arms crossed and a smile that was not a smile. He looked at the fierce white tiger in front of him as if he was looking at a child, his eyes filled with ridicule. The fierce white tiger suddenly let out a roar and then started to run. Its speed was extremely fast as it closed in on the martial monarch. When he ran to the martial monarch's side, he jumped up and put his feet together. With a beautiful flying kick, he kicked towards the martial monarch's head. What a strong jumping ability! This is a textbook flying kick. The host shouted. The audience is already cheering. I wonder how the martial monarch will respond. The martial monarch was still hugging his arms. Facing the sudden fierce flying kick, he did not move at all. The audience thought that the martial monarch was scared silly, to the point that he did not even know how to dodge. But just when everyone thought that the martial monarch was finished, a golden divine dragon suddenly flew out from behind the martial monarch. This divine dragon was 3 meters long. With a swing of its tail, it sent the fierce white tiger flying. The people in the audience almost exploded. Dragon! This was a real Chinese divine dragon. This man called the martial monarch could actually summon a divine dragon? Unbelievable! It's actually a divine dragon. Looking at the golden divine dragon flying beside the martial monarch, the host and the audience cried out in shock. I can't believe it. Is this really a martial art? The people from the 6 great sects all stared with their eyes wide open. Could it be that the martial monarch had also trained in the void to reality technique? No, even if it was the void to reality technique, it would not be able to reach such a level. This emperor is not training in any martial arts. The martial monarch said proudly, "This emperor is training in the legendary celestial arts. This emperor is the martial monarch, and what he is training in is the true celestial arts." As he said that, the martial monarch sat on his dragon body and flew up. He floated about a meter in the air as he looked down at the fierce white tiger. What fierce white tiger? In front of this emperor, it is just a little cat. Quickly get up, fierce white tiger. The bank boss felt a chill down his spine as cold sweat appeared on his back. The fierce white tiger wouldn't lose just like that, right? He couldn't lose. If he lost, he would lose so much that he would cry. It's okay, even if that Chinese knew some magic, he wouldn't be a match for our fierce white tiger. After all, he knew about the fierce white tiger's bloodline. He was a true fierce tiger. Under everyone's gazes, the fierce white tiger stood up once again. The fierce white tiger's body also gave off a terrifying aura. Roar! The fierce white tiger roared as his entire body started to swell. In the blink of an eye, he swelled to nearly 3 meters tall. The clothes on his body were torn apart, revealing his original skin. At this moment, Fur grew out of the fierce white tiger's skin, and the tiger stripes on his body were bright. He tore off his mask and revealed his true tiger head as he stared at the martial monarch who was floating above his head. My view of the world has been turned upside down today. The host swallowed his saliva. I actually saw a fierce tiger. It's a true fierce white tiger. This is a beast from the West. Another voice rang out from the host's platform. The host turned his head in shock and realized that Jiang Feng had unknowingly sat beside him. "Ah, Commander Jiang, can you answer our questions?" "Sure." Jiang Feng nodded his head. He didn't need a microphone, and the entire venue, the 100,000 people, could hear his voice. "Since I'm bored, let me explain it to you." Chapter 1622. Jiang Feng's source of information naturally goes without saying. He naturally knows about the East and the West. Now that he is willing to explain to everyone, the host must be deeply grateful. Sitting here, the host feels that he is no different from the audience. The whole audience is saying words like, "Oh my God, unbelievable, unbelievable." The beastmen that you mentioned just now, is it the kind of beastmen that we understand? More or less. Jiang Feng nods and continues to explain. Their genes are different from ordinary people. They belong to a special race in the West. Normally they are no different from ordinary people, but they can transform, just like the fierce white tiger. After transforming, their ability is greatly enhanced, even surpassing real beasts. So, they belong to an underground organization? You can say that. Jiang Feng says with a smile, "Since everyone has seen it with their own eyes, it should be no harm for me to reveal the secret. These beastmen have had several large-scale battles with ordinary people in the West in the past. Both sides suffered heavy casualties. Therefore, the royal family of the beastmen decided to reach a peace agreement with the humans. From then on, the beastmen are not allowed to invade the humans, and the government also has to protect their right to live normally. I think, this time the fierce white tiger publicly transformed in front of the public. Even if he can defeat the martial emperor, I am afraid that after returning home, he will be punished by the royal family. Pray that our fierce white tiger contestant can be safe. Then what about the martial emperor? Is he really using an immortal technique? It can only be considered as an upgrade of martial arts. Jiang Feng does not want to cause any panic in China, although he knows some of the martial emperor's secrets from Li Fan. As the commander of China's imperial army, he cannot openly cause trouble here. In the internal energy that we practice, when the internal energy is trained to the extreme, it can be released and transform into a certain form to fight. You see, I can also do that. As Jiang Feng spoke, he condensed his inner force, and a 3-meter-tall black tiger man slowly stood up from behind him and roared. This is just a way of releasing our internal energy. It is not an immortal technique. Don't be fooled by that guy who talks big. When Li Fan heard this from the player bench, he couldn't help but give Jiang Feng a thumbs up. This guy hates martial artists very much, but is very kind to ordinary people in the ordinary world. In order not to cause panic, he uses the martial god's true body to confuse the concept. It's really magical. Today is an eye-opener for me. The host praised loudly. It seems that no matter if it's the East or the West, there are some true experts. Yes, the last round of 16 was very exciting. Which one does Commander-in-Chief Jiang favor? As for me, I'm from Huaxia. Objectively speaking, I'm more optimistic about martial emperor. Jiang Feng chuckled. However, even if the martial monarch wins, I will personally defeat him in the following matches. As expected of Commander Jiang. Let's wait and see. As the two of them were discussing, the ferocious white tiger returned to its beastman form and attacked the martial monarch once again. He leaped up and pounced towards the martial emperor from the sky. He directly grabbed the divine dragon's tail and threw it to the ground. The martial emperor also landed on the arena and steadied his body. The white tiger had already descended from the sky, its claws tearing towards the martial emperor's body. The martial emperor crossed his arms and continued to stand there. The divine dragon bit the white tiger's body and directly bit off the white tiger's legs. Amidst the screams of the crowd, the martial emperor's divine dragon opened its mouth and spat out half of the white tiger's body. It was all thanks to the beastman's strong body that he was still alive after receiving such an attack. The medical staff rushed over and carried him away. As for the bank's boss, his face was pale as he sat back on his chair. He felt weak all over and broke out in cold sweat. This time, he had lost more than half of his family's assets, and his company was on the verge of bankruptcy. These damn Chinese, why are they so strong? Boss, don't worry, we still have a chance of winning. The actuary's voice was a little lacking in confidence. If he made another mistake, the boss would probably hire a killer to kill him. However, just like he said, they still had number 9. The powerful number 9 would definitely be able to defeat these opponents and win the final victory for them. Let's bet everything on number 9. The boss could only gamble. Number 9 was the hero of the United States. He would definitely not let him down. At this time, he was a little regretful. If he had listened to the Chinese actuary, how good would it have been? He had been strategizing for so many years and had experienced so many storms and waves, but this time, he actually failed. Number 9, my entire family's life is in your hands now. You are a hero, you can definitely save me, right? At this moment, in the arena, the top 16 competition had already ended. The audience still wanted to continue, but when it was time for the intermission, they began to find a place to eat and wait for the afternoon competition to begin. In the afternoon, it was the top 8 competition, and the audience tickets were even more expensive. It was almost impossible to buy. An ordinary standing ticket had been hyped up to 1,000 yuan, and it was still not available. They had never seen such an exciting competition in their lives. This was a battle that truly belonged to the strong. My dear, congratulations on your successful advancement. In Li Fan's lounge, Teresa came to look for him with red wine. What's there to be happy about? There's still more to come. Li Fan hurriedly ate his lunch. Just like breakfast, it was sent to his room by someone. Before the competition, it was right to try to avoid meeting the contestants as much as possible. I don't think it's difficult for you. Teresa thought that Li Fan won very easily. You can definitely pass the top 4. I hope so. Just as Li Fan was about to drive away the clingy Teresa, she said, "Don't be like this, my dear. The bathroom in my room is broken, and I still have to watch the competition in the afternoon. Can I take a shower here?" "Don't be like this, my dear. My room's bathroom is broken. I still have to stare at the sun in the afternoon to watch the competition. Can I take a shower here?" In any case, Teresa was also an international friend, and he couldn't lose face for the Chinese. If it's just a shower, of course it's not a problem. Hee, my dear, of course it's just a shower. I'm not a casual person. Without red wine, music, and romance, I won't casually make love. You're not casual? Bullshit. Li Fan rolled his eyes, and then pointed to the bathroom next to him. Go, don't delay for too long, I still have the top 8 competition in the afternoon. Don't worry, I'll be quick. Teresa went to take a shower. After she went in, she took off all her clothes, including her underwear, and threw it outside with her white and tender little hand. This woman. Just as Li Fan was about to scold her, a familiar voice came from the outside. Li Fan, can I come in? Li Fan was stunned. Fuck, it's the Saintess? Chapter 1623. Li Fan was taken aback. Why did the Saintess look for him at this time? The two of them did have some fate, but it was all in the past. After so long, why did she look for him? Teresa, don't come out. And don't make a sound. I'll send her away soon. If he let Teresa come out now, it might cause some unnecessary misunderstandings. Anyway, he would quickly send the Saintess away, so it was fine to let Teresa hide for a while. Li Fan immediately sent a voice transmission to Teresa in the bathroom and warned her not to come out and mess things up. Although Teresa was a little passionate, she was still a sensible person and knew the proper etiquette. Why are you looking for me? Li Fan opened the door and sure enough, the veiled Saintess was standing outside. As long as Li Fan was willing, he could easily take off the Saintess veil. But he didn't do so, because it was a little rude. Strength didn't mean everything, and it couldn't be used as an excuse to be willful and unreasonable. However, this didn't mean that he was willing to have too much interaction with the Saintess. After all, Li Fan didn't like the Soul Respect sect from the bottom of his heart. We're all old acquaintances, shouldn't we communicate our feelings occasionally? The Saintess reached out and pushed Li Fan into the room, then closed the door. Hey, this isn't very nice, right? I saw Wang Zhini nearby. The Saintess winked at Li Fan and said in a low voice. The debt between us has been settled, so why are you still looking for me? Li Fan had no choice but to sit on his bed, folding his arms and looking at the Saintess opposite him. It's just to communicate our feelings. If I believe you, I'd be an idiot. You're the little overlord, are you afraid of me? The Saintess giggled, but Li Fan rolled his eyes. Don't try that, we're all experienced people, do you think I'll fall for it? Sigh, actually I'm here to discuss the matter of joining hands with you, but it seems like you hate me. The Saintess sighed. As expected, even the little overlord is no different from those people from the 6 great sections. They are all people who can't differentiate between right and wrong. That doesn't sound right, right? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Although I'm not a good person, I'm different from those from the 6 great sections. What's the difference? The holy maiden looked at Li Fan provocatively. It's not the first time you've met me, right? But have I ever done anything evil? The Saintess directly questioned Li Fan. Not really, that's incredible. The Saintess snorted. Do you think it's a bad thing that I'm looking for you? Or is it that my crimes are unforgivable, so you want to avoid me like I'm the plague? Alright, let's just say that you're right. What do you mean by, forget? What I said makes sense. Hearing this, the Saintess did not feel happy. I want to join hands with you. Are you afraid? What's there to be afraid of? Li Fan curled his lips. Don't use these words to provoke me. Just say what you want to say. If what you said is right, it's not like I can't join hands with you. What's wrong? You only need to know that Jiang Feng and Long Fangyu have joined hands, and that Niu Xuan has also joined hands with Wang Zhini and the others. The Saintess directly asked. In this martial arts competition, you, as the villa master of the 7 Heroes Villa, the little overlord of Jianghu, can only disguise yourself. It really makes people sigh. You, who are isolated and helpless, need a helper, don't you? I'm not isolated and helpless. Li Fan said, moreover, I'm not afraid of fighting with them. You're quite amazing to be able to recognize my identity with just a glance. No matter how you change, your eyes are still the same. The Saintess's method of recognizing Li Fan was somewhat unique. You're always so special. Even after experiencing so many things, in the depths of your eyes, there's still some arrogance hidden. Li Fan, don't tell me you don't feel wronged? Compared to that number 9, you're the real hero, right? But you didn't get the reward you deserve. Instead, you're hiding your head and showing your tail. I'm really unreconciled for you. I'm fine. Li Fan smiled. I've personally witnessed China slowly becoming stronger. Now, even Taiwan has been recovered. The motherland is unprecedentedly unified. Even the US empire has to pay attention to our face. So, what's there to be unhappy about? You know what? In my life, I only admire 2 people. The Saintess stretched out 2 fingers. One is you, and the other is our sect leader. But the 2 of you are polar opposites, but in some places you're surprisingly the same. I'm just myself. However, if you're interested in me, you can follow me. Li Fan smiled. I don't mind accepting a beauty to work for me. Humph, how do you know I'm a beauty? Maybe I'm ugly. A girl's beauty and ugliness, even if they cover their face, can't be hidden. Li Fan said, if a girl is beautiful, she'll be praised in all kinds of ways when she's born. Thus, her demeanor is full of confidence. In this aspect, you're really cunning. The Saintess returned to the main topic. All right, I won't beat around the bush with you. In this competition, I want to join hands with you. How do you want to join hands? Li Fan asked. There will only be one champion in this competition, right? Yes, there will only be one leader. But what if someone is not convinced? The Saintess winked at Li Fan. You know, I'm very good at escaping. No matter which one of us wins the championship, I hope you can lend me a hand and escort me out of here. As for the true immortal art, I'll naturally give it to you. You're so confident. What if I win? Then I'll help you leave here. The Saintess looked at Li Fan with a smile that was not a smile. Otherwise, do you think that if you win the competition, you can safely leave this place? What? There's someone who wants my life. Li Fan's domineering aura was revealed again. Even if the Martial Emperor and Jiang Feng want to stop me, they have to weigh their own weight. They are only a part of the people. The Saintess shook her head. You're always so inconsiderate. In short, trust me this once, I won't cheat you. If you win, I'll escort you out of here, and you have to give me the 3rd page of your true immortal art. If possible, I also want the 1st page in your hands. The 1st page is indeed in my hands. Li Fan didn't know why, but looking at the Saintess, he has a familiar feeling, especially calm, and subconsciously said this matter. However, I have to tell you, these 2 pages are not good stuff. It's best if you don't cultivate them. Chapter 1624. I'm not the one who wants to practice this. The Saintess did not want to hide it from Li Fan. It's our leader. Li Wei? He's actually interested in the perfected immortal technique too? That's right. Back then, he was also very interested in Lu Jinchan's 9 Buddha Sutra and even caused a bloodbath in the martial arts world. Our leader's actions are indeed somewhat unexpected. The Saintess found it difficult to explain. In short, there's no way for us to coexist with the orthodox. If we don't do this, they'll come for us sooner or later. The martial arts world has always been a bloodbath. Okay, let's not discuss this for the time being. Li Fan felt that there was no harm in agreeing to the Saintess's request. If Li Wei was willing to practice this set of martial arts, he would let him. Anyway, he would be controlled by the heavens beyond after mastering it. He asked for it. I agree to your conditions, hurry and leave. Li Fan was about to chase the Saintess back when there was another knock on the door. Li Fan, open the door. Damn, it's Liang Ru's voice. Li Fan glanced at his room and realized that Teresa was squatting in the bathroom. He couldn't let the Saintess meet her in the bathroom. However, he couldn't let the Saintess go out now either. Her identity was too sensitive, and it wouldn't be good if Liang Ru saw her and it was leaked. Why don't you leave from the main entrance? Li Fan said. Since there was nothing between the two of them, it wouldn't be a problem for her to go out openly. But if our matter is leaked, it might affect our plan. The Saintess glanced in the direction of the bathroom. I'll hide. Hide under the bed. It's safe. Li Fan stuffed the Saintess under the bed without any hesitation. Fortunately, there was a gap under the bed. Otherwise, it would be over. Li Fan laid out the bedsheet and hid the Saintess who was hiding underneath. Damn it. There are 2 girls hiding in a small room. If you don't open the door, I'll kick it open. Liang Ru yelled from outside. Coming. Li Fan had no choice but to check again before obediently opening the door. What are you doing? Clandestine love affair? Why are you opening so late? Liang Ru asked. Steal your sister. There's still a match in the afternoon. Where would I find the time and energy? That's right. If you want a date, you can look for me openly. Liang Ru giggled and said, I can do some exciting things with you. Kissing is also allowed. Is kissing the only exciting thing? You're not married. What else do you want? Liang Ru looked at Li Fan warily. Pervert. Fuck, I haven't said anything yet. Okay, stop flirting with me. There's a match in the afternoon. Go prepare. There were still 2 living people hidden in Li Fan's room. How could he flirt with Liang Ru here? Why do you keep chasing me away? Do you have an appointment? Liang Ru was very unhappy. Who can I ask out? I plan to train in seclusion. I need to adjust my internal energy. Li Fan said righteously. You too. Instead of taking advantage of this period of time to train, you actually came here to cause trouble. How is this nonsense? This young lady is just missing you. Liang Ru was very unhappy. I'll treat you to a meal after the match. Li Fan rubbed his eyebrows. You still have to come to Li Family Island. According to the requirements, I want to train you and make you into a real imperial sword. Just like how you train your disciple? Liang Ru looked at Li Fan expectantly. I don't object to teacher-student relationships. Quickly let me live for 2 more years. My lady. Li Fan was about to collapse. Liang Ru, this girl, she really wouldn't give up until she saw the Yellow River. I don't care. Teach me now. Not free. I want to learn. I really don't have time. Just as he was dawdling with Liang Ru, someone knocked on the door again. Li Fan, come out. Damn? Li Fan was shocked. Why is Murong Ying here too? Damn, I only have a short break in the afternoon. Can I calm down a little? Did these old ladies have an appointment? Should they form a party and add a group buff or something before coming again? No, Liang Ru was about to shout, but Li Fan covered her mouth. Stop fooling around. No matter what, she is my fiancée. If you really respect me, don't cause trouble for me. Li Fan transmitted his voice to Liang Ru while glaring at her. Liang Ru felt a little wronged, but Li Fan was right. He had never wanted to have feelings for her. Everything was just her wishful thinking. But this lady will not admit defeat like this. I will hide. Liang Ru pushed Li Fan's hand away and mouthed to him. Li Fan thought about it. Since he had already hidden from 2 of them, 1 more wouldn't make a difference. He did not know why Murong Ying was looking for him, but since she wanted him to go out, it should only be a few words. Hence, Li Fan let Liang Ru hide behind the curtain. This was the only place to hide. Just as Li Fan hid Liang Ru, the door was suddenly kicked open with a bang. Murong Ying stood outside and slowly put down her leg. I thought the door was broken. Murong Ying's indifferent words made Li Fan not know whether to laugh or cry. Damn it, this woman definitely did it on purpose. Why are you here? To catch the adulterer. As Murong Ying spoke, her eyes suddenly stared at the curtain. She waved her hand, and the curtain flew up, revealing Liang Ru's figure. This was not the end. Murong Ying frowned and waved her hand again. Li Fan's bed also flew up, revealing the saintess hiding below. Hello? You're here too? Hello? What a coincidence. The saintess's eyes were also a little awkward. There are quite a lot of people. As Murong Ying spoke, she pulled the bathroom door again. Bang! The bathroom door fell, and a naked French beauty stood on the door, looking at them embarrassedly. If I said I just wanted to borrow the bathroom to take a bath, would you believe me? Li Fan, you sure are happy. Although Murong Ying's expression was still cold, Li Fan knew that her rage points were definitely full. I wanted to talk to you about joining hands, but it seems that I have disturbed you. With that, Murong Ying turned around and left without looking back. Li Fan wanted to chase after her to explain, but after thinking about it carefully, he did not do anything. Explain my ass. Whether she believed it or not, that was her own business. Li Fan, why are there so many women hiding in your room? Liang Ru was also about to explode. Damn, how would I know? Li Fan rolled his eyes. You guys solve it yourselves, I'm going downstairs for a stroll. The competition was about to start, so Li Fan simply went straight to the contestants' area. Just take it as political asylum. The remaining women stared at each other. After a while, Teresa spoke first. Can you pass me the clothes? Chapter 1625. Li Fan couldn't care less about how the women were going to deal with them. He sat in the contestant's seat because the quarterfinals had begun. The auditorium was still crowded, and there was no place for people to stand. Li Fan thought that if he gave them a few ropes, these people would probably dare to sell tickets. Li Fan looked at the big screen, and the positions of the 8 people's avatars were constantly changing. The order of the quarterfinals had to be rearranged and then drawn. He didn't know which strong opponent he would meet this time. Hello everyone, thank you for continuing to sit here and watch the competition in the afternoon. I'm your host, Little Black. The host sat on the high platform and spoke into his microphone. continuing his afternoon hosting. The person sitting next to me is the commander of China's Imperial Army, Jiang Feng. Welcome, Commander Jiang. He is willing to commentate the competition in the afternoon with me. Once again, thank you, Commander Jiang. With you here, I feel more confident. You're welcome. Jiang Feng had a gentle smile on his face. At this time, he even wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, looking very cultured. This is what I should do. Let's witness this afternoon's competition together and see who will be able to get into the semi-finals. Commander Jiang also has a card up his sleeve, right? There are many strong people, I dare not say anything for sure. Jiang Feng said modestly, no matter what, we can still enjoy the wonderful competition. That's true, I am also honored to be today's host and witness. Alright, let's cut the chatter and get back to the competition. After the wonderful and cruel quarterfinals in the morning, we have selected 8 stronger experts. Everyone, please pay attention to the big screen and let us see which 2 experts will be fighting in the first round. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 avatars were selected on the big screen. On the left was Murong and on the right was Liang Ru? Fuck, did this task force do this on purpose? Finally, it's my turn. Liang Ru walked to the arena and waved her hand. The sword behind her flew out and danced in front of her. Murong, today I will defeat your undefeated legend. I am not undefeated. Murong said very directly, but even so, you are not my opponent. You have potential. Train for a few more years. You're too arrogant. I can't accept this. This is not arrogance, this is the truth. Murong sighed. If you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you. As she spoke, she placed one hand behind her back and the other in front of her, extending only 2 fingers. Take this. Following the signal to start the match, Liang Ru pointed at Murong without hesitation. The Shangfang sword immediately shot towards Murong, tearing the air apart and emitting a sharp whistling sound. Dang! However, Murong only stretched out 2 fingers and flicked the side of the sword when it was in front of her. The Shangfang sword immediately changed direction and flew to the side. It's a good sword, but it has lost its power. Murong felt a little regretful. Don't underestimate me. Liang Ru knew that Murong strength was not just for show. She did not hesitate and immediately entered the returning sword state. A golden radiance emitted from her body, draping her with a layer of golden battle armor. At this moment, even Liang Ru's hair turned golden, and her pair of golden pupils released a raging battle intent. Oh, it's like this again. The host exclaimed, Commander Jiang, how exactly did Liang Ru do it? The sword in her hand is a divine weapon of our China, called Shangfang sword. Jiang Feng did not hide anything. This sword is a treasure that has been passed down for thousands of years. It represents the identity of our China's guardian. Liang Ru is this generation's guardian. She can inherit the power that the predecessors poured into the sword, but she can only borrow it temporarily. China's guardian. It sounds so impressive. The host could not help but sigh. China's heroic martial sect is indeed full of talents. Not to mention that they have 3 in the top 8, one of them is actually a China's guardian. Then wouldn't contestant Murong be in danger? Murong, as the previous martial arts alliance master, has experienced hundreds of battles. When Jiang Feng talked about Murong, his tone could not help but have a little more respect. She is very amazing. Even I do not have the confidence to defeat her. As expected of the previous martial arts alliance master. What is the outcome of the battle between the 2 beauties? Let us continue to pay attention. At this moment, Liang Ru entered the returning sword state. She was completely reborn, as if she had become a different person. She activated the Shangfang sword and let the sword spin in the air. Then, with a swoosh, it disappeared in front of Murong. What kind of move is this? It's the illusory sword. Jiang Feng explained. In the previous competition, Liang Ru also used this move. It seems that even the Kongtong sect leader Long was hit by it. It can be said that the more experienced one is in battle, the more effective this move is. Moreover, Liang Ru's control of the illusory sword has also improved. In the morning, her illusory sword could only affect Long Bailey alone. But now, it has affected all the audience who are watching the competition. Can it really be done? Yes, it's similar to a kind of spiritual hypnosis. Jiang Feng gave an affirmative answer. He was also surprised that Liang Ru was quite talented. She had actually used it so skillfully in such a short period of time. Moreover, this Shangfang sword was indeed a divine weapon. If he could obtain it, his strength would increase by a lot, right? Not bad, but it's a pity that it's not enough. As Murong Ying spoke, she let the Shangfang sword that suddenly flew over from the side directly pierce her body. But she still stood there, safe and sound. Then, she suddenly stretched out 2 fingers and flicked them next to her ear. Clang. Another Shangfang sword was sent flying, and then it disappeared into the void. Clang, clang, clang. Murong Ying separated the illusory sword several times and flicked the real sword away with ease. How could this be? Liang Ru was a little shocked. Her illusory sword was actually ineffective? Even the Kongtong sect leader couldn't handle it? Oh, this illusory sword seems to be ineffective against contestant Murong. The host exclaimed. It's Alliance Master Murong. Jiang Feng reminded, the new Alliance Master hasn't been elected yet. Murong Ying is still the Alliance Master of Wulin. Moreover, she has already seen the illusory sword once, so she can see through its mystery. There's nothing to be surprised about. Murong Ying also told Liang Ru, you hid your sword very well, but I formed a defensive net with my internal force. I can detect your sword when it's half a meter away from you. Many cherry blossoms appeared around Murong Ying. My eyes can lie to me, and my brain might also lie to me, but internal force won't. Liang Ru wanted to say that it was really scary. She was indeed Murong Ying. If she wanted to defeat her, she would probably have to use her last resort. Chapter 1626. Shangfang Sword. Ancient Sword's Soul Return. Liang Ru pushed the power of the Shangfang sword to the extreme. This Shangfang sword floated in front of her and gently swayed. The surrounding power seemed to be attracted and all gathered towards Liang Ru. The sky was originally clear, but at this moment, the sky was filled with dark clouds. In the clouds, there was thunder rumbling, as if it contained some kind of powerful and terrifying energy. Even ordinary people could feel that this move was different. The host wiped his cold sweat and asked Jiang Feng, who was beside him. Commander Jiang, what kind of move is this? It feels so terrifying. I'm afraid Liang Ru has used her ultimate technique. Jiang Feng also felt a lingering fear. Even he felt a little flustered when facing such power. As expected of the successor of the Shangfang sword. Once she uses her full strength, it is still very terrifying. Is Alliance Chief Murong in danger? The host was a little worried. If this continued, would someone die? What are you worried about? Jiang Feng smiled and said, she is the Alliance Chief of the martial world. Perhaps she is also the strongest woman in the world. As he spoke, a bolt of lightning suddenly descended from the sky. With a kacha sound, it struck Liang Ru's body. However, Liang Ru was safe and sound. The golden light on her body became even more dazzling. At this moment, Liang Ru's body seemed to be wearing a golden armor. Her body floated in the air, and she stepped on the Shangfang sword. Is she a sword immortal? The host was finally shocked. It's just a way of using her inner strength. Jiang Feng could see that Liang Ru's inner strength was wrapped around her sword, allowing her to float in the air. She has become a little stronger. Murong Ying nodded. She does have the bearing of a grandmaster. After the second eruption, Liang Ru forcefully raised her strength to the level of a grandmaster. However, Liang Ru did not care because she knew that practicing martial arts was not opportunistic. Even if Liang Ru raised the strength of a grandmaster, she was still not her match. She relied on the experience of those ancestors, but not her own experience. With a wave of Liang Ru's hand, 9 swords appeared and revolved around her. Each of the swords was formed from a huge amount of energy. Liang Ru pointed at Murong-ing and one of the swords immediately flew over and shot towards Murong-ing. Murong-ing frowned slightly. She raised her hand, and a wall made of cherry blossoms rose 2 meters high from the ground. It stood in front of Murong-ing, blocking the sword. Boom! When the treasured sword landed on it, it exploded violently like a missile. Murong-ing's cherry blossom wall was blown to pieces. She slid backward for more than a meter before she slowly steadied herself. Interesting. Even Murong-ing couldn't help but praise him. Continue. Liang Ru could not maintain this state for long. She immediately activated her sword and continued to chase after Murong-ing. Boom boom boom. The treasured swords exploded around Murong-ing one after another. However, Murong-ing was Murong-ing. She used her unique advantage to make the cherry blossoms protect her, constantly blocking the bombardment of the treasured swords. No matter how powerful Liang Ru's treasured swords were, she only had 9. After Liang Ru finished bombarding the area, she still had 3 treasured swords left. They floated around her as she waited for the next round of attacks. You are like a child holding a pistol. Murong-ing sighed. You have the power, but you don't know how to use it. I'll go back and practice. With that said, Murong-ing suddenly flashed and appeared in front of Liang Ru. After all, she was an expert with strength at least at the half-sage realm. Once Murong-ing got serious, Liang Ru was no match for her. Upon seeing Murong-ing suddenly appear, Liang Ru subconsciously activated the 3 treasured swords and shot them at Murong-ing. With Murong-ing's movement techniques, it was easy for her to dodge the 3 treasured swords. However, Murong-ing preferred to fight head-on, using her absolute strength to do the talking. Murong-ing condensed the dragon and phoenix swords and held them in her hands. Instantly, she stabbed out 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. Liang Ru's 3 treasured swords exploded in midair, but the explosive waves were swept away by Murong-ing's sword beams. What? Realizing that her moves were ineffective, Liang Ru felt a little helpless. As for Murong-ing, she stabbed Liang Ru's acupoints twice consecutively. Liang Ru felt the strength in her body immediately loosen, as though there was a funnel in her body. She could not stop it even if she wanted to. She watched helplessly as her strength plummeted. The difference was too great. Liang Ru finally understood this point, but she was still indignant. She was extremely indignant. Sooner or later, I will defeat you. Let's talk about it when that day really comes. Murong-ing kept the surrounding cherry blossoms and then pushed her hand. Liang Ru's body flew out uncontrollably and landed outside the stage. Thank you both for sending us a wonderful round of matches. The host and the audience were having a great time watching the match. The battle between the 2 beauties was full of beauty and power. The final winner is indeed Alliance Master Murong. Jiang Feng chuckled. If there is a chance, I really look forward to a battle with her. The first round of the quarterfinals has ended with Alliance Master Murong's victory. The host loudly announced, "Let us congratulate Alliance Master Murong. Please also give a round of applause to the young contestant Liang Ru. Her performance today was also very outstanding." Thunderous applause sounded from the stands. Everyone was convinced. The match between the 2 was very interesting. Even if it was a girl, there was no feeling of inferiority. Some of the female audience were even more excited. Who said that girls were inferior to guys? Wasn't there a heroine, Murong-ing? The next match's name list is out. Let us take a look. The host looked at the big screen and exclaimed, "Aya, the second match is actually between Commander Jiang and the sect leader of the heroic martial sect, Niu Xuan. I'll take my leave for a while." Jiang Feng bowed to the audience and then jumped down from the 10-meter tall stage. Using his qin gong, he slowly landed on the stage, causing the screams of the female fans and the applause of the male audience. Li Fan could not help but praise. This Jiang Feng really knew how to act cool. Jiang Feng will definitely lose this match. Li Fan received the Saintess's secret sound transmission. Why do you think so? Li Fan also used the secret sound transmission and sent it to the Saintess's contestant seat. This kind of communication method was much more convenient than QQ or WeChat within a certain distance. Is that sect leader Nyo really that strong? I don't know if sect leader Nyo is strong or not. But Jiang Feng is a member of the government. The government does not want him to win against Nyo Shuiyin. Chapter 1627. What the heck, fake fight? Li Fan finally reacted, but this was too much of a scam. Really? This is a competition supervised by the Sky Martial Court. If someone fake fight, wouldn't the Sky Martial Court take action? If he wants to admit defeat, the Sky Martial Court can't do anything about it. If they really had the right to speak, they wouldn't have agreed to cooperate with the government. Also, this isn't the first match. Didn't you see the way Wang Jun lost before? That's too much of a scam. Li Fan was somewhat indignant. Jiang Feng was considered an expert, but he actually had to fake fight under pressure? It's not easy to survive in the system. It's Jiang Feng's choice whether it's good or bad. Let's just watch the competition. The Saintess had seen through all of this. She sat on her sofa and watched the battle outside. Nyo Shuin walked out wearing the heroic martial sect's uniform. When he appeared, many people cheered for him. In the previous battles, his clean and efficient fighting style made everyone a little fond of him. But if they knew that Nyo Shuiyin was using Japan's Takeda family's righteous fist, who knows what they would think? Your Excellency's martial arts are very exquisite. I, Jiang Feng, am here to seek advice. Jiang Feng cupped his hands and said to Nyo Shuin, "Please." Nyo Shuin tightened his belt and beckoned Jiang Feng over. "Your Excellency, please," Jiang Feng modestly said. As expected of the commander of the royal army. Modest and gentlemanly. The host couldn't help but praise, but our contestant Nyo doesn't seem to be too polite. After all, this is a martial arts competition. Everything depends on martial arts. Nyo Shuin took a big step forward and threw a punch straight at Jiang Feng's chest. Jiang Feng's body moved to the side and avoided Nyo Shuiyan's fist. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and pushed Nyo Shuiyan's shoulder, causing Nyo Shuiyan to stagger forward and almost fall. But Nyo Shuiyan was also a grandmaster. He stomped on the ground with his left foot and kicked with his right foot, causing Jiang Feng, who was about to come over, to take 2 steps back. Sect Master Nyo has great skills. Jiang Feng was still holding a fan in his hand. He opened the fan with a snap and gently fanned himself. I, Jiang Feng, have met many martial artists in my life, but you have left a deep impression on me. I have a feeling that I might lose to you. My divine technique is complete. I'm invincible. After sect leader Nyo steadied himself, he looked at Jiang Feng and sneered. Even Manor Lord Li from whatever manor wouldn't last more than a few moves against me. I have the most powerful combat experience and this most direct combat martial art. Even if you are the commander of the Imperial Army, can your status be compared to me, the sect leader of the heroic martial sect? Your Excellency is right. Jiang Feng slightly bowed towards sect leader Nyo. The heroic martial sect is a rising new sect. Its future is limitless. As long as you know. Nyo Shuin pointed at Jiang Feng. Within 3 moves, I will beat you until you can't get up. Please enlighten me. Jiang Feng extended his hand and invited. Nyo Shuiyan immediately stepped forward and ran forward, followed by a flying kick. With the speed of a missile, he kicked towards Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng raised his fan horizontally and blocked in front of him, blocking Nyo Shuiyan's kick. But Nyo Shuiyan's strength seemed to be very strong. The kick caused Jiang Feng to retreat 2 steps. Nyo Shuiyan took advantage of the situation and followed up, punching towards Jiang Feng's chest. Jiang Feng once again used his fan to block, but this time the fan was pierced through. Nyo Shuiyan's fist also landed on Jiang Feng's chest. Bam! Jiang Feng slid a meter away, but Nyo Shuiyan followed up again. He raised his leg and chopped down, smashing Jiang Feng's head. With a muffled sound, Jiang Feng was beaten to the ground. How is it? Do you know how powerful I am? Niu Xuan crossed his arms and looked at Jiang Feng proudly. Your Excellency's strength is abnormally strong. I, Jiang Feng, admit that I am inferior. Jiang Feng stood up again and wiped off the bloodstain at the corner of his mouth. We are all martial artists, so we should stop when necessary. I am not as good as you, so I admit defeat. With that, he cupped his hands at Niu Xuan, then turned around and used his qinggong to stick to the wall of the high platform. With a few swishes, he landed next to the host. The host was still a little confused. Does Commander Jiang admit defeat? Yes. Jiang Feng smiled warmly. His voice was soft, but it spread throughout the scene. Leader Niu is a martial arts genius that appears once in 100 years. His skill is so high that I have rarely seen it in my life. Commander Jiang is really generous. The host was impressed. I came here today just to join in the fun. Jiang Feng said, I don't practice martial arts for the sake of being competitive. As long as I can protect the safety of every citizen, that's the happiest thing for me. With an expert like Commander-in-Chief Jiang here, we also feel much safer. The host immediately flattered, let's congratulate Niu for winning the top 8. It seems that he is the seeded contestant for today's championship battle. Niu Xuan stood there, stretched out a finger and said loudly, Today, there is an idiot called Martial Emperor who said that he will become the champion. I, Niu Xuan, will tell him that he is just dreaming. Because the champion throne will only belong to my heroic martial sect, Niu Xuan. Niu Xuan's provocation was liked by many youngsters. They felt that this was the domineering and awe-inspiring style that a true martial artist should have. Did you see that? The Saintess's voice once again rang in Li Fan's ears. Li Fan became silent. Even if he did not want to admit it, he had to agree with the Saintess's point of view. Jiang Feng did not even use his true strength. Niu Xuan only casually won the match. The martial arts tournament had actually become dirty. The contestants for the next match have also come out. The host looked at the big screen and announced loudly, in the previous match, Leader Niu challenged Martial Emperor, Liao Ju, and his opponent, only Misek's Saintess. What did you say? Saintess forfeited? The spectators sighed. What's the point of winning without a fight? But the Saintess is not stupid. She got the news from Li Fan that Martial Emperor actually trained in the true immortal art. How can she defeat him? Rather than being heavily injured by Martial Emperor, she might as well conserve her strength and leave it for later. Alright, although everyone is regretful, this is the contestants' own choice. The organizing committee respects them and I ask the spectators to respect them. For those spectators who have not had their fill, it doesn't matter. Our next match will be even more exciting. China's heroic martial sects Li Yun versus America's hero number 9. The entire audience was thunderous. Even the bank boss who was sitting in front of the television could not sit still anymore. My number 9 has come out. This time, he will definitely win back all my money. Chapter 1628. When number 9 goes out, he is equivalent to 2. This is the concept of the bank boss. And the actuary's calculation is number 9 against Li Yun, giving him a handicap of 5. Handicap of 5? What a joke, that is number 9. The powerful number 9. The bank boss is practically shouting, did you see how he defeated the Shaolin monk? Isn't Shaolin the number 1 sect in China? Handicap of 5? I think handicap of 3 is enough. That's safer. The actuary hurriedly explains, after all, Li Yun's performance in the previous competition was not bad. He defeated Bison, he has this kind of strength. Alright, let's do as you say. Thinking that this Chinese martial artist defeated the powerful boxing champion Bison, the boss's attitude softens a little. No matter what, we have to get people to bet on Li Yun. The higher the audience's expectations of him, when number 9 wins, the more money I will win. Boss, 62% of the money is invested on Li Yun. The underling reports. Very good. It seems that everyone has high expectations of Li Yun. The bank boss is very satisfied, This time, not only can I earn back my capital, I can also earn back double the profit. No one can win against the powerful number 9. No one. You're right. The actuary kept on sucking up to him. And on the television, that contestant Li Yun has already arrived on the stage. Standing in front of him is number 9 dressed in black and gold battle attire. You give me a very familiar feeling. Number 9 looks at Li Fan with a suspicious look. You look like someone I have seen before. How could that be? I am just an ordinary Chinese martial artist. Li Fan conceals his identity. However, you seem to have some misunderstanding about our Chinese martial arts. Today I can take this opportunity to let you know our Chinese martial arts. Saying that, he stretches out his hands and makes a pose. Although I am in the heroic martial sect, I was fortunate enough to go to the 7 Heroes sect to practice a set of 7 Heroes fist. Please teach me. Chinese martial arts, showy but impractical. Number 9 does not hesitate to ridicule. I have once met a so-called powerful Chinese martial artist, claiming to be the strongest in China. In the end, he was defeated by my fist. If there is anyone in Huaxia who can make me look at him in a different light, it would at most be that martial emperor. He is very powerful. Since that's the case, allow me to seek your guidance. As Li Fan spoke, he cupped his hands towards number 9. Heroic martial sect's Li Yun, please advise me. The competition hasn't even started, but the 2 contestants are already at daggers drawn. The host continued to hype up the atmosphere. Commander Jiang, who do you think will win this match? These 2 are both very strong. Jiang Feng held back his laughter and said, I think everyone has seen the fighting strength of the heroic martial sect. Hero no. 9 from the United States was not to be underestimated either. To be honest, I don't care who wins. I'm more concerned about how exciting this competition will be. Since Commander Jiang has said so, let's wait and see. Needless to say, Contestant 9 was extremely popular in the match between Contestant 9 and Li Yun. Li Yun also defeated the powerful boxing king, Bai Sen, in the previous competition. The battle between the 2 of them should be very satisfying. Come, I'll let you make the first move. Contestant 9 crossed his arms and stood there, as if he didn't care about Li Fan. All right, I won't be polite. As Li Fan spoke, he leaped and suddenly appeared in front of Contestant 9. Contestant 9 didn't care at all. The Chinese martial artists were fast, but what use was that? Black Tiger fiercely climbing the mountain. Li Fan consecutively attacked Contestant 9's chest, chin, and finally his head. Bang! Li Fan pressed Contestant 9's head onto the ground, causing Contestant 9's body to be pressed down, and his entire body was pressed into the ground. Seeing Contestant 9's head being smashed into the ground, the host exclaimed. Contestant 9 was actually smashed into the ground. Is he going to lose? I don't think it's that easy. Jiang Feng was more like an excellent commentator. With Contestant 9's physical strength, this kind of attack is just a greeting to him. Just as Jiang Feng finished speaking, Contestant 9 had already stood up from the ground. At the same time, he patted the dust off his body as if nothing had happened. Just like that? Contestant 9 asked coldly. What's the rush? Li Fan wasn't surprised. Just now I only used 10% of my strength. Why don't you try taking 50% of my strength? So what if I let you hit me 3 times? Contestant 9 was very arrogant. Come. All right. Li Fan stepped forward again. This time, he directly slammed his palm onto Contestant 9's chest. Dragon Spitting Pearl. As Li Fan's voice fell, a powerful force exploded from Contestant 9's back. Contestant 9 bent his waist and slid back half a meter. However, he still managed to stabilize his body. There's still one more move. Li Fan placed both of his hands in his pocket and looked at Contestant 9 with a smile. Next time, use 80% of my strength. How about it? So what if it's 100%? Contestant 9 snorted coldly. The attacks of you Chinese martial artists are only SOS. Alright, then I'll do as you say. Use 100%. Li Fan followed his advice. Then you have to endure it. Don't get beaten to death or else it won't be fun. Li Fan took a step forward. raised a powerful internal force in his palm, and directly slammed it towards number 9. Ape King Cannon. Contestant 9's brows suddenly furrowed. As for Li Fan's palm, it had already landed solidly on his body. Contestant 9's body turned into a cannonball and flew out, smashing heavily into the distance. Finally, with a bang, Contestant 9's body was embedded into the wall of the stage. Luckily, he didn't land on the ground and wasn't out of the stage. Contestant 9's mouth turned red. He was actually injured. His eyes were closed as if he had fainted. Contestant 9 is injured? How is that possible? Something must have gone wrong. The bank boss couldn't sit still anymore. He shouted, "Get someone to check on that Li Yun. Did he consume some prohibited substance?" All right, Chinese people like to use prohibited items the most. Li Yun is definitely not an exception. Li Fan looked at Contestant 9 who was embedded in the wall and was about to continue his attack. At this moment, the MC spoke loudly. "Sorry, I have received a notice from the International Martial Arts Committee. They suspect that Contestant Li Yun used prohibited items and want to conduct a urine test." Nonsense. A gray-robed Sky Martial Pavilion elder who was standing at the side finally couldn't take it anymore. He scolded, "What bullshit International Martial Arts Committee? They are nothing. Since when did they have the right to interfere in our Chinese martial arts competition? Furthermore, martial artists have their own honor. They wouldn't use any prohibited items. Yes, make them scram. What International Martial Arts Committee? Never heard of it." Chapter 1629. Everyone, I am the representative sent by the International Martial Arts Committee. A man in a black suit walked out and raised his staff card. As a member of the committee, we have a legitimate reason to investigate Contestant Li Yun's urine sample. If he used prohibited items, then we will have to disqualify him. The competition is organized by our Sky Martial Pavilion. It has nothing to do with you. The Sky Martial Pavilion elder was not afraid of the people from the committee. Don't point fingers at us. Scram. Looks like your Chinese side is not willing to cooperate. The man in the suit pushed his spectacles. I have reason to suspect that you are rigging the competition. It is extremely unfair to our foreign martial artists. I think you are tired of living. The Sky Martial Pavilion elder did not seem to have a good temper. Perhaps he had reached his limit. The alliance leader election turned out to be like this. Now even cats and dogs came to interfere. This was intolerable. It's okay, elder. Li Fan turned around and looked at the man in the suit. How do you want to check my urine sample? Do you want me to let you have a taste of my urine now? Rude. The man in the suit was a little angry. Since you are a martial artist, you have the obligation to cooperate with our International Martial Arts Committee's investigation. I am a Chinese martial artist. I am not a martial artist affiliated with your committee. Li Fan emphasized, a committee that does not have any Chinese people in it. Do you have the cheek to control me? Say that I used prohibited items? Do I need to? As Li Fan spoke, he raised his elemental energy. His body emitted a silver stream of energy, flowing out from his pores. What are you trying to do? Just teaching you the rules. Li Fan was known as the Little Tyrant. How could he admit defeat at this moment? China's martial artists have their own set of rules. Since you do not respect the sacred competition of China, don't blame me for being impolite. As he spoke, he opened his mouth and took a deep breath. At this moment, Li Fan's Tai Chi diagram began to revolve rapidly. It was as if there was a huge exhaust fan on the ground. The surrounding air was all swallowed by Li Fan. Scram. Li Fan took a deep breath and shouted. A huge wave of air directly blew the person from the organizing committee away. In the blink of an eye, he flew more than 10 meters away and fell heavily on the auditorium. Who dares to disrespect our Huaxia's martial arts competition? This is the result. Li Fan said loudly, I don't care which gang you belong to. Since you are in Huaxia, you must abide by Huaxia's rules. That's right. Number 9, who was leaning against the wall, finally opened his eyes. You're very strong. I underestimated you before. Number 9 said, You have the strength to fight me. As he spoke, he slowly pulled out his hands and feet from the wall. Although he was awake, the bank boss's entire body was numb. 5 minutes. These 5 minutes have already passed. The only chance now was for number 9 to win. Once he won, the boss would be able to collect some money from the other bet, more or less filling the hole. Number 9 seemed to be enraged. As long as he was serious, that Li Yun would definitely not be a match for him. After a small farce, the competition has finally begun again. The host wiped his cold sweat. He didn't expect Li Yun to be so strong. He actually chased away the people from the International Martial Arts Committee. Furthermore, he did it in such a violent way. Although he was still a bit worried, the host was secretly happy. Now that the Huaxia people were competing, once they won the competition, there would be this committee or that committee that would appear and insist on checking if the Huaxia people had used banned substances. Check his motherfucker. It was natural for the Westerners to win the competition, but there was a problem when the Huaxia people won. It was the same in the previous sports meet. All kinds of misjudgments and illegal referees caused a lot of athletes to lose their championship. This time, Li Yun had avenged everyone's resentment. You're very strong. I will use all my strength to defeat you. As number 9 said that, he descended from the sky and stomped towards Li Fan. But Li Fan just stood there and raised both of his hands to receive this stomp. Bam! The stage beneath Li Fan's feet started to collapse, and number 9 was lifted into the air. Following that, Li Fan grabbed number 9's legs with both of his hands and used a bear strike wrestling technique, smashing number 9 to the ground. Kaboom! With a loud sound, number 9's body left a huge pit on the ground. Interesting. Number 9 didn't seem to be injured. This fall only caused him some pain. Very good, you're a good opponent. Number 9 leaped up and at the same time, punched towards Li Fan. This punch was extremely fast, as if it broke through the air. Crane hand. With a crane hand, Li Fan slapped away number 9's fist. Good. Number 9 was overjoyed. He threw over 10 punches, but they were all slapped away by Li Fan's crane hand. In front of Li Fan, it was as if there was a half-meter wide defensive net. No matter how number 9 attacked, he couldn't get within half a meter of him. There's actually a martial artist like you in China. Amazing. Number 9 finally felt that a martial artist was a bit interesting, but this is not enough to defeat me. Number 9's body was even stronger than Superman. He suddenly threw out another punch, and a huge fist wind immediately blew up. Kaboom! Half of the stage disappeared under the power of this punch. The surrounding spectators were all excited. This was really such a strong strength. Humans, could they really do it to this extent? Motherfucker. Really strong. Lu Bufan couldn't help but stare with his eyes wide open. Is this the fucking strength that a human should have? Eat this. That Chinese brat should have turned into ashes by now. The bank boss in front of the live broadcast also laughed happily. But very quickly he couldn't laugh anymore, because a figure was slowly appearing from the rolling smoke. So that's how it is. Li Fan's hands were still in his pockets, as if he was deep in thought. In the end, I still perfectly fused with the dragon gene. And I'm getting more and more proficient. Dragon gene? Number 9 looked at his right hand that had turned into a dragon claw and seemed to understand some things. But this is also my strength. Saying that, he threw another punch at Li Fan. But this time, Li Fan didn't dodge. Instead, he went forward and put his palm on number 9's fist. Both of their fists and palms added together. Their strength finally collided. Bang! The stage below the two of them continued to collapse. The powerful strength quickly spread out. Chapter 1630. With a loud bang, the surrounding ground started to shake. The elders of the Sky Martial Pavilion stepped forward one after another. Every one of them opened their arms and released their own inner energy. They connected together and formed a defensive net, blocking the power of Li Fan and number 9 within it, allowing the audience to be spared. These two people are too scary. The host looked at the battle with his mouth agape. He could feel the ground shaking. It was obvious how scary these two people were. They are both top-notch super experts. Jiang Feng felt the power of the two of them and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. They actually exploded with power close to that of a saint. However, Li Fan probably hadn't used his full strength yet, right? This number 9 seemed to have a lot of potential. The United States was really awesome this time. They actually developed such a sick monster. Compared to this number 9, their previous Zeus plan and this and that were all child's play. When the smoke dissipated, number 9 was half kneeling on the ground. His body was emitting black smoke. He seemed to have suffered serious injuries. And Li Fan stood opposite him. His clothes were a little charred, but he was fine. He was looking at number 9 and cupped his hands. "Thank you." The host was doubtful. Does this mean that number 9 lost? It looks like number 9 has lost. Jiang Feng looked at the messy arena. I wonder if he can continue fighting. There were sighs of regret around. There were many people cheering for number 9. However, number 9 was still kneeling there, not moving. The bank boss had already taken out a gun from his drawer and was prepared to commit suicide. The judge was also preparing to announce the result. Just at this moment, a girl shouted from the stands. "Stand up, number 9." It was Windsor. Hearing this voice, number 9's body shook slightly. Then he slowly opened his eyes. He stood up bit by bit and moved his muscles and bones. There were cheers all around. They were all celebrating for number 9. His popularity was indeed not just for show. Not bad. Li Fan also praised, "You are totally different from when I first saw you. Look at how popular you are now." "You seem to know me." Number 9 rubbed his neck, "But it doesn't matter. I just need to defeat you." "Why must I win? I feel that you don't seem to have any interest in being number 1 in the world, right?" Li Fan felt a little strange. "Because only by defeating you can I realize the value of my life." Number 9 says, "I'm different from you, so I have to defeat you." As soon as he finished speaking, the muscles on number 9's body rippled, and black scales grew on his skin. Very soon, a massive dragon person that was close to 3 meters tall stood in front of Li Fan. He had a pair of horns on his head, and his yellow eyes stared at Li Fan, giving off a powerful killing intent. The surrounding cheers turned into gasps of surprise. Number 9's change caught them off guard. But not long after, wild cries rang out again, as if they were even more excited about number 9's change. This was a martial arts arena. No matter how dangerous it was below, the one who was in danger was his opponent. And they were spectators, crazy for violence, cheering for blood. The bank boss also shed tears of excitement. Now he didn't have to die. But at this moment, he was filled with regret. If only he had listened to that Chinese actuary earlier, he wouldn't have ended up like this. "Brother, we still have a chance, right?" The bank boss said to the German actuary beside him, but the latter couldn't answer him. This brother had already hung himself. Number 9 is very strong, and he has dragon blood in him. He definitely won't lose. I need to rely on him to turn the tables. That's right. As he spoke, number 9 had already let out a roar. A huge wave of air surged out, causing the surrounding audience to feel slightly dizzy. Is this also a Western orc? The host couldn't help but ask in surprise. It should be. Jiang Feng naturally knew that he had Li Fan's genes in his body, and this was Li Fan's dragon blood. But there were some things that he could say, and some he couldn't. This matter he definitely couldn't say it. He couldn't possibly tell the people that number 9 was a super weapon that the United States had collected the genes of Chinese experts, right? Is it the orcs or our Chinese martial artists who are stronger? Let's wait and see. Everyone was indeed looking forward to it. Meanwhile, the battle between Li Fan and number 9 was still ongoing. As the last round of the quarterfinals, the battle between the two of them seemed to have ignited the climax of today's competition. Number 9 suddenly opened his mouth and rushed towards Li Fan. Li Fan frowned, feeling a threat. Number 9 spat out a bluish-white frost, instantly freezing half of the arena. Li Fan's body was also within it, and he was directly frozen into an ice sculpture. He stood there motionlessly, while Number 9 leaped over, and the tail behind him swung heavily towards the ice sculpture. Bang! The ice sculpture was directly smashed, and the surrounding audience cried out in alarm. The supporters also shouted, "Oh my God, could it be that contestant Li Yun died just like that?" "What are you looking at?" Jiang Feng stretched out his hand and pointed. "Isn't he standing there perfectly fine?" The host was surprised, and Number 9 also turned his head in shock, looking behind him. Li Fan stood there with his arms crossed. And the ice that was just smashed was just an ordinary ice cube. What Li Fan had left behind was an afterimage, and it was condensed with his energy, which was why it was frozen. But in an instant, the energy dissipated, and although the ice sculpture was frozen, the person was long gone. Roar! Number 9 roared, and with a stomp of his feet, the ground cracked, and in an instant he was in front of Li Fan, and opened his mouth, directly biting towards Li Fan. Li Fan stretched out his hands, and directly grabbed Number 9's mouth, flipped him over, and smashed him onto the ground. Li Fan's own strength had long surpassed the saint rank, and after this Number 9 evolved, he also had the strength of a saint rank and did not know any martial arts, so he still could not do anything to Li Fan. "You're still too inexperienced." As Li Fan said this, a dragon-shattering hand directly penetrated Number 9's steel-like skin and pierced into the position of his chest, directly pinching Number 9's heart. As killing was not allowed in the competition, Li Fan did not take out Number 9's heart. And he believed that with Number 9's vitality, even if he pulled out his heart, he would not necessarily die. After all, he was a modified human, different from ordinary people. Li Fan only pinched Number 9's heart and infused his own energy into it, causing Number 9's heart to stop for 5 seconds. This was more effective than hitting Number 9's acupuncture points, and Number 9's body suddenly stiffened. Li Fan immediately lifted his body and threw him out of the arena. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.